On April 12th, On TV is proud to present a special sports feature. It's live horse racing action from Santa Anita Park when On TV presents the Santa Anita Derby. This is the West Coast prelim to the Kentucky Derby, one of the richest races of the season. Be sure to watch the Santa Anita Derby April 12th at 5 o'clock. This is KBSC TV, Channel 52, Corona, Los Angeles.
He wore Dodger blue for 15 seasons and holds virtually every Dodger pitching record. But tonight, Don Sutton makes his first start against his former teammates in a Houston Astros uniform as On TV Sports presents our premier telecast of the 1981 season. From Dodger Stadium, On TV Sports presents exciting Major League Baseball action. Tonight, the Houston Astros meet the Los Angeles Dodgers. Hello again, everybody. I'm Geoff Witcher here at Dodger Stadium. We've got a sellout for On TV's premier telecast of Dodger Baseball 1981. This is the first of 15 specially selected broadcast for you. Tonight it's a dandy. Don Sutton versus Burt Hooton. Sutton's first meeting in a Houston uniform. My broadcasting partner in his fourth season, the ace Al Downing. Are you ready?
Yes, I am, Geoff.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Hooton and Sutton. Can you make any comparisons between these two veteran right-handers?
Well, they're basically control pitchers. They'll be around the plate, and I think there won't be a lot of hits tonight.
Okay, now what must Don Sutton be feeling? You have an idea. You've gone through this before.
Well, I talked to Don before the game about playing 15 years as a Dodger and coming back as a visiting ball player to get his reactions. Don, what are your thoughts tonight as you come back to pitch against the Dodgers for the first time in a visiting uniform?
Well, I kind of have mixed emotions. I spent a lot of great years here, and I enjoyed them all, and it's not the most comfortable feeling I've ever felt. I guess I never thought the day would come when I'd sit in this dugout and play against those guys over there. So right now I'm a little nervous, I'm a little jittery, but hopefully I'll get over it before the first pitch.
Do you think you'll be affected at all by the fans' reaction to you out on the mound?
Oh, sure. I'm a human being. I'd like to be liked by everybody, and I hope that what'll happen is that the people will not see a guy who used to play for the Dodgers and is now in another uniform, but I hope they'll see somebody who tried to give them 15 years and tried to give them the best I could, and I hope that they'll judge me on that.
And there's been many controversy over the years whether or not Don Sutton doctors of baseball. It'll be interesting to find out if he is checked tonight. So the stage is set. Here are the umpires for tonight's Dodgers-Houston Astros ball game. Jerry Dale, Paul Runge, Jim Quick, and Bob Engel. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
And you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was
Anthem sung tonight by Blush. Here's the Houston Astros batting order tonight. Leading off in right field, Terry Poole. Batting second, their shortstop, Craig Reynolds. Cesar Cedeno batting third in center field. The cleanup hitter in left field, Jose Cruz. Danny Heap batting fifth at first base. Art Howe will bat sixth. He'll be at third base tonight. Batting seventh, their catcher, Alan Ashby. Rafael Landestoy will play second base and bat eighth. And doing the pitching and batting ninth, former Dodger Don Sutton. At home plate with the batting card for Los Angeles is Reggie Smith. Reggie, of course, recuperating from shoulder surgery, and he's not quite ready to do everything. And, of course, he can't throw 100%. So, in the meantime, a young kid, maybe a future superstar, Pete Guerrero, will be in right field for Los Angeles.
First, I knew that Reggie wore glasses, Geoff.
This is the first year that he has tried it out. He was having a little bit of a problem, and he had great success wearing the glasses in spring training and decided, what the heck? Any edge I can have, I'll take it. It is a sellout crowd here at Dodger Stadium. They had over 50,000 out here Thursday, the season opener. And Fernando Valenzuela, the young 20-year-old going on 40, shut out the Astros on 5 hits. So the Dodgers 1-0, and they are all set to take the field. Pitching instructor Sandy Koufax, the greatest pitcher I've ever seen pitch, Al. He could really throw, couldn't he?
Yes, he was, Geoff.
And the Dodgers take the field. This is our first telecast. We'll be bringing you 15 exciting Dodger games this 1981 season, and it is a pleasure to have Al Downing working with me again. This is our 5th season bringing Dodger baseball your way on TV, and Al, you're already in your 4th.
This is my 4th.
Time flies. Setting the Dodgers defensively, Steve Garvey, the Iron Man. Tonight, 836 consecutive games. Second baseman Davey Lopes hoping to come back after a disappointing 1980 season. Around at shortstop, he was a big question mark. Could he come back from that finger injury? The answer, yes. Bill Russell. Around at third, the Penguin, Ron Say, who the last couple of months last year really came through with the power, finished up with 28 home runs. In the outfield, Dusty Baker in left. The Dodgers came very close to losing him to free agency, but then signed him at the last moment to a multi-year big money contract. In center field, Kenny Landreau, the newest member of the Dodgers, acquired from Minnesota. For Mickey Hatcher and 2 minor leaguers. And there's a superstar of the future, perhaps, Pedro Guerrero in right field. Led the team in home runs and RBIs in the spring. 22-year-old Mike Scioscia beat out Ferguson and Yeager. He's the starting catcher for Los Angeles. And on the mound, veteran right-hander Burt Hooton. Last year, despite a bursitis problem in that shoulder, he won 14 games, lost 8 with an earned run average of 3.65. And it was the 6th consecutive year he was in double figures as far as victories were concerned.
Well, Burt mentioned he thought the bursitis was causing a weakness in his shoulder, but then he found that he just had a muscular problem back there, and he worked very hard on all of this equipment this past winter, and he feels great now.
For the Astros, Terry Poole will start it off, followed by Craig Reynolds and Cesar Cedeno. Ron Say is up on the edge of the infield grass at third. First pitch of the ball game. Called strike one, and we are underway. Burt had perhaps his best spring training ever. High and away, 1 ball and 1 strike. He worked 31 innings, 2 wins and a loss, at an earned run average of just barely over 2. He was quite pleased. Swung on and hit down the right field line very high. Guerrero coming over in foul ground, and he runs out of room. It's back into the 3rd row of the field boxes here at Dodger Stadium.
Ideally, Geoff, a starting pitcher likes to get in about 30 innings in the spring if he possibly can, because it gives you a chance to get your arm into conditioning where you're pitching 6 or 7 innings in a game. That way, when you come north, you know you're ready to pitch.
ball, 2 strikes to Terry Poole just to start of tonight's telecast. Here's a liner over the head of Ron Cey into left field. Base hit for Poole. So Poole, who drew the caller on Thursday afternoon, gets the first hit tonight.
Looked like the Penguin had a beat on that one in the last minute. It kind of got by him, but I think what might have fooled him was the fact that Poole had just pulled the pitch before foul. And then the last thing you expect is for the guy to hit the ball the opposite field on you like that. So you're really not ready for it.
Shortstop Craig Reynolds, who hit .226 last season, and Bill Burton is hoping to get a little more sock from him this year. He went 2 for 4 on Thursday against Los Angeles, so he's hitting a lusty .500. Throw to first. Cey again is a step or 2 up on the infield grass at third. The outfield against Reynolds, who's batting left-handed, is around towards left. A big gap in right center as again Hooton goes over to Garvey.
On the first throw over to first base, Poole had taken a half a step with his right foot, and I think probably Garvey alerted Hooton that he possibly had a play on, maybe hit and run or even a steal.
Poole does not go, and it's bunted in the air. Cey has it, trying to double up at first, not in time. So Reynolds running sharply to Ron Cey, 1 down, and Cesar Cedeno coming up. Cedeno, who's been in the big leagues, it seems like forever, is 30 years old. He's coming off that ankle injury. He dislocated it in the National League Championship Series against Philadelphia. They could have used him, Al.
Yes, they could have. They lost some of their power production when he was out of the lineup there.
Cedeno went 1 for 4 in the opener on Thursday, so he's hitting .250 as he stands in. Poole at first, 1 out. Strike on the outside corner. How did you used to work Cedeno when you were pitching?
I never had very much success with Cedeno. I tried to throw him a breaking ball down and in, and he would hammer it down the line. If I threw him fastballs away, he'd hit him up the right center field alley. He just seemed to hit me wherever I pitched him, and that's the mark of a good hitter. But I think in the later years, he's going more to trying to pull the ball. Poole getting his lead here. That is basically what you call a one-way lead, where you get as far off as you can, and you know at first sign the pitcher makes a funny move, you start diving back to first base.
No score if you just tuned in. The Astros batting top of the first inning, 1 out, 0-1 to Cedeno, and Terry Poole has to get back again. The ball drops out of Garvey's glove. He goes to get. Garvey holding Poole at first. Cedeno has won 5 Gold Gloves. He did it 5 consecutive years from 1972 through 1976, and he hits a shot to right field, slicing away from Guerrero. It's in there. Going to third is Poole, and Cedeno holds on with a long single. So the Astros have runners at the corners with 1 out, and their cleanup hitter, Jose Cruz, coming up.
Well, you saw Cesar just going with a pitch. He had a 1-strike count on him, and he got a breaking ball out over the plate, and he just kind of pushed it into the right field corner there. But I think something significant on that play, Geoff. You know, Pete Guerrero hurt his shoulder Thursday in the ball game, diving into, sliding into one of the bags head first. He didn't make a very strong throw there into second base, and I think that's a sign that the Astros are going to pick up on.
Hooton misses. Ball 1. Jose Cruz, 6-footer, 175 pounds. He was purchased from St. Louis back in September of 1974, and he is one of the finest left-handed hitters in the National League, and he bounds it back into the crowd.
Well, he's one of the finest ball players in the National League. I think as an outfielder, he's rather underrated, and he's a very fine base stealer and very fine base runner.
That's Terry Poole away from third. Cedeno takes his lead. Garvey holds him on at first. 1-1. The count to Cruz with 1 out. In for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jose Cruz. He led the Astros with 185 hits last year. That was 5th best in the National League. He also led them with 91 runs batted in. 9th best in the league. Swung on, and Hooton's able to grab it. His only play to first in time to get Cruz, and Poole scores. Down to second goes Cedeno. 1-0, Houston.
Well, that's a very difficult play right there for the pitcher because Burt had to back down off the mound to get that ball. You see, he was going towards shortstop. Now he has to wheel and throw the ball, and for a fellow coming off a bad shoulder, he made a pretty good throw there. But that's always a tough play because a lot of times you lose your bearings, and when you wheel around, you throw them blindly.
First baseman Danny Heap steps in. High and away, 1 ball and no strikes. So with Enos Cabell and Joe Morgan no longer with the Astros, in fact, both men ended up with San Francisco. Art Howe went from first to third, and Heap now getting a shot at the first base job. 2-0 the count to Danny.
Burt's been in the big leagues a number of years, Jeff, but that first start of the season, you're always a little apprehensive. You're a little edgy out there, and it takes an inning or two to get your feet on the ground. I think right now Burt's kind of aiming the ball a little bit. He doesn't seem to have that pop on his fastball yet.
He fouls that back into the crowd. 2 balls, 1 strike to Danny Heap. And if you joined us late, Terry Poole started off the ball game with a base hit to left field. Reynolds tried to bunt him along. Bill Burton looks on, the skipper of the Astros. Reynolds unable to do it as he bunted on a popper to Say. Cedeno singled, and then Cruz hit back to the box, and Poole scored from third. And that's the story to now. 3-1, the count to Danny Heap. Cedeno at second base. Hooton 14-8 last year with a 3.65 earned run average. Swung on and sliced down the left field line, and that carries back into the crowd. Danny Heap got off to a pretty good start in spring training, and then had a slump towards the last 4 or 5 ball games. Dave Roberts started at first base Thursday against the left-hander Valenzuela, and Heap's in there tonight. He was a co-winner of the Southern League MVP with a teammate in 1979. Got him swinging. So Danny Heap strikes out. And the Astros in the top of the first settle for 1 run on 2 hits and leave a man. And at the end of 1/2 inning of play here at Dodger Stadium, Houston won, the Dodgers coming up. The Dodgers batting order tonight, leading off their second baseman, Davey Lopes. Ken Landro will bat second and be in center field. Dusty Baker batting third in left field. Steve Garvey hitting cleanup to first baseman. Ron Say batting fifth to third base. Pete Guerrero will bat sixth. He's in right field. The catcher, Mike Scioscia, batting seventh. Bill Russell bats eighth tonight. He's a shortstop. And batting ninth, doing the pitching for Los Angeles, Burt Hooton. Setting the Astros defensively at first base, Danny Heap. And he has to do a good job to keep his position, according to Bill Burton. Former Dodger Rafael Landestor, he came over in the deal that brought Joe Ferguson back to Los Angeles. Craig Reynolds at shortstop. He started pro ball as an outfielder, doing a pretty good job now as a shortstop. At third, the veteran, Art Howe, taking over for Enos Cabell, who was traded to San Francisco. In the outfield, in left, Jose Cruz, always a thorn in the Dodgers' side. In center field, Cesar Cedeno, who a couple of years ago they tried him at first base. He didn't like it. Now he's back home. In right field, Terry Poole, who's made it a habit the last couple of years on opening day of hitting home runs. The Astros battery. Behind the plate, a local product. He was born in Long Beach, Alan Ashby. And on the mound, former Dodger, Donald Howard Sutton. With Los Angeles last season, he was 13-5. He won the National League ERA title with a 2.21 earned run average. I'm sure the butterflies are there. As Don Sutton gets ready to face Davey Lopes, Kid Landreau, and Dusty Baker in that.
I find it rather ironic that Daniel played first base when he was healthy. Now he's coming off a fractured ankle, and they put him back out in center field.
I think I have the answer. Last spring training, after he had played one season at first, he told the Astros, I want to play center field or trade me. No more first base.
Well, you're going to have to do it on half an acre.
Sutton starts Lopes and gets a strike on the outside corner. 0-1. Davey went 0 for 3 on opening day Thursday, so he's looking for that first hit. Low, 1 ball and 1 strike. He's also looking to turn things around here in 1981 after a disappointing 1980 season. And just the year prior, he had his best Major League season ever in 1979. Big chopper up along third, foul ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Dodgers leadoff hitter Davey Lopes.
Jeff, there's going to be just as much anxiety on the part of the Dodgers hitters as there is on Sutton's part, simply because now they're facing him. They want to know, can they guess with him? You know, he has the upper hand actually as a pitcher because he knows what he's going to throw. They're going to be out there guessing, thinking of the times they played behind him and the pattern he established as a pitcher.
Outfield shading Lopes towards left. There's a little bit of a gap in right center field. Way outside, 2-2. Why don't you run down Sutton's repertoire?
Well, Don has a good fastball, but he's cutting his fastball more lately, and I mean, not literally.
Swung out and missed, so Davey Lopes strikes out, has a few words of anger at himself. Here comes Kenny Landreau.
Well, that was just a good slider that just ran away from Davey. Like it backed up on him. But he's cutting his fastball more, and he's sinking it more. Before, he had a riding fastball. He has a good curveball and a good slider, and he's turning the ball over, using it as a changeup to left-handed batters. But his strong suit is Don's always had good control.
281 last year, 7 home runs, 62 runs batted in. That was with Minnesota. Ground ball hit sharply to Landestor. He gloves, throws him out. Number 12. So quickly, 2 gone here in the bottom of the first inning. The Astros 1, the Dodgers nothing. Now here's Dusty Baker, and he gets a warm welcome from the capacity crowd here at Dodger Stadium. 294, 29 home runs, 97 runs batted in. His best Major League season. Can't believe he hasn't made an all-star team, but he's got that to look forward to, I'm sure. Way outside to Dusty, 1 ball, no strikes. He was 0 for 4 on Thursday, so Dusty, too, looking for that first hit of the regular campaign. Sutton just misses outside, 2-0. Outfield deep, swung around towards left. No breeze. A nice evening for baseball here at Dodger Stadium. Swung on, didn't get it. 2-1 to Johnny B. Baker. Steve Garvey waits his turn on deck. Second, Landestor calls. He makes the catch. So Don Sutton didn't show any nervousness or butterflies as he puts the Dodgers down 1-2-3. And the score at the end of 1 inning here at Dodger Stadium. Houston 1, the Dodgers nothing.
I talked to Tom Tommy Lasorda before this game, and I asked him with a number of his pitchers on the injured list, will he be using a 4 or 5-man rotation through the first month of the season?
Well, Al, with the condition of our pitching staff right now, Dave Goltz not being able to start, we had to leave him down at spring training. Bobby Welch, and with Jerry Royce unable to pick up a baseball for 10 days, we're definitely planning on using a 4-man rotation right now.
I think, most managers like to have the luxury, Geoff, of having 5 starters that they can rely on. But in the first month of the season, you want to get your most effective pitchers out on the mound. And even if it means you only use 3 starters, because the idea there is to get off to as fast a start as you possibly can and get those pitchers sharp and keep them sharp. Not try to spread out the work so that everybody gets equal work, because that can only hurt a ball club.
1 run, 2 hits, no errors for Houston, and goose eggs for Los Angeles as Burt Hooton gets ready to work the top of the second to Art Howe, Alan Ashby, and Rafael Landistoi.
Looks like Burt Hooton's experimenting with a little bit of a screwball there, warming up. Kind of turning the ball over a little bit.
So Art Howe, who manages in winter ball, and he's done pretty well, will lead things off for Houston. Art, 34 years old now. He was the player to be named later when Houston traded Tommy Helms to Pittsburgh in December of 1975.
That always keeps the ball players on edge when they say player to be named later, and they tell you that in July.
Yes.
You go home that winter, man, you don't want to make any permanent plans.
Hooton misses high. 1 ball, no strikes to Howe. You talk about injury problems. Art Howe is the epitome of it, at least in the last few years. 1-0 pitch, misses low, 2-0. He's had more than his share. Hamstring pulls of both legs, a broken finger, a beanball injury last season. You might recall that in the month of May, he suffered a fractured jaw. He takes a strike. He was hit by Montreal's Scott Sanderson. He wasn't out long, however. Can you imagine this, Al? He came back after 6 days as a pinch hitter with a wired jaw and a special protective helmet. That's pretty tough.
Well, it took him a long time to get to the big leagues, and he relishes being in the big leagues, and he doesn't feel that he can sit down for any length of time and still retain his job.
2-2 to Art Howe, leading off the top of the second for Houston. They lead it 1-0 over Los Angeles. A couple of veteran right-handers, Burt Hooton on the mound for Los Angeles, and former Dodger Don Sutton. Mike Scioscia and Hooton might be having some problems with size, and Scioscia runs through them again. Strike 3. Howe knew it and walks away.
I think Howe probably felt that Burt had him set up for his good knuckle curveball, and that's probably why Burt shook off Scioscia and came back with a fastball right in the outside corner there. But that's just a case of a pitcher having a feel for a pitch in a certain time, and he probably felt the fastball was a pitch he felt more like throwing than a curveball.
Alan Ashby, 256, 3 home runs, 48 runs batted in last year. This is his first start of the 1981 campaign. He takes a strike at the knees.
A lot of catchers, Geoff, will catch in a pattern, whereas a pitcher will pitch according to the feel he has that particular inning.
There's a big chopper. Lopes waits for that big bounce. Over to Garvey. 2 down.
Once pitchers establish a pattern of throwing pitches, hitters can guess with them. But usually they're guessing with the catcher more so than the pitcher.
Rafael Landistoi, who hit .247 last year, not too much power, 1 home run, 27 runs batted in. In fact, it's interesting that the home run that Landistoi hit last season came as a pinch hitter. It was his major league first. And it came off Atlanta's Larry McWilliams on May 9th.
Was it inside the park?
Nope. He fights that one off the fist, and it carries behind home plate back into the crowd. 0-1 to Landistoi. Houston. Top of the second. Nobody on. 2 down. 1 ball, 1 strike to Landestor with Say up on the edge of the grass at third. The outfield comes in quite a bit. They're shallow and around towards left.
Well, Raphael has good power, but he has good speed, but he doesn't have very much power. So with Burt pitching, they don't expect him to drive the ball in the air.
Chapman to Russell. Throw to Garvey in time. So Burt Hooton settles down in the second. And the Astros go 1, 2, 3. And at the end of an inning and a half, Houston 1. The Dodgers, nothing. Well, one of the many, many fun parts of Major League Baseball for fans and media alike is trying to figure out who's going to win the various divisions and the pennants. And Al Downey and Geoff Witcher, we're just like the rest of you. We love to do it. So, Al, let's pick them. The National League West, who you picking?
I'm picking the Dodgers, Geoff. I think they have the best all-around 25-man roster in the National League West.
Okay, I disagree with you. I'm going to go with Houston primarily because of their pitching strength. I think that the Dodgers still have too many question marks, and I have them for third and sandwiched in between the Astros and Dodgers, Cincinnati. Let's go to the National League Eastern Division. Montreal is my selection.
Montreal is my pick. I think that they're a young ball club. Last year they knocked on the door. I think this year they're ready.
That really does mean something to have a young club experience a pennant race, and even though they fall short, there's so much to that experience thing, isn't there?
Yes, there is, and it's something you have to fail before you can succeed.
What about St. Louis? They're a dark horse. If they could get some pitching, they
don't have any
bombers.
pitching at all. In fact, I was going to write a letter to Whitey Herzog and suggest that maybe I come out of retirement. They're using Jim Cott.
Let's go to the American League. First, the Western Division. Who you picking?
I'm picking Kansas City. I still think they're the best ball club in that division all around.
I have to go along with you. Kansas City is my pick. The Angels, if they got pitching, they'd be strong. In the Eastern Division, I'm going with Milwaukee. How about you?
I'm going with the Yankees.
The Yankees. Just like a Yankee. Steve Garvey gets a round of applause as he steps in to lead off the Dodgers' second inning. He'll be followed by Ron Cey and Pedro Guerrero against Don Sutton. Houston 1, the Dodgers nothing. Timeout called as Garvey wants to get set. Of course, you see these two this way, and immediately you think back to that altercation they had back in 1978. Outside and low, 1 ball and no strikes.
I think that they both respect one another as ball players, Geoff, and that's all that matters when you're out on the field. All the other stuff, it takes a back seat. You still have to get the batter out, and he still has to hit you.
Inside to guard, 2-0. And immediately the crowd gets all over Sutton. Swung on and fouled back into the crowd. 2 balls, 1 strike. I guess fans are asking, many of them, who has the advantage, a Sutton or a Garvey?
I think Sutton does, because the pitcher always knows what he wants to throw, at what speed, and in what location, and the hitter basically still has to guess.
Outfield deep and swung around towards left. Swung on, hit sharply to the hole, into left field, base hit. So a smiling Steve Garvey collects the first hit off Don Sutton.
Well, it was a good pitch. Don got it down, but as you can see, Steve was right on top of it, and he was able to get it into the hole there, just drive it into the hole. That's one of those balls, they say, a C&I ball. You know, 3 feet either way, and a fielder has it.
Garvey takes his lead at first as the Penguin steps in. Ron Cey, he was 0 for 2 Thursday, but he did have a sacrifice fly and an RBI. Low. 1 ball, no strikes, as the crowd starts some hand clapping. It's a capacity crowd here at Dodger Stadium. Ron Cey is 1 home run shy of the 4th spot in Dodger history.
Sutton has a very quick move going to first, Geoff, but surprisingly, he's not as quick coming to the plate. Consequently, they used to steal on him quite a bit. Well, it's something when you're a pitcher, you don't worry about it, because when you go to the plate, you're worried about getting the hitter out.
Strike on the outside corner. So Sutton painting the black on home plate and evens the count at 1-1. Danny Ozark, the third base coach. Matty Mota in the first base coaching lines. Garvey takes his lead. Heap holds him on. 1-0 Houston, bottom of the second inning. Outside, 2-1. Say has always been a select hitter. Has a very good knowledge of the strike zone, and this spring he worked on going to the opposite field more often, and he says he'll try it and see what kind of success he has. Garvey wandering off first base. Nobody out, bottom of the second, 1-0 Houston. Sutton working to Say.
Penguins had great success in the past whenever he's going to the right center field. It makes the pitcher pitch him a little more carefully. He can't just throw that ball out over the plate there. And I think he'd be wise to take more shots at just hitting the ball in the first base hole, because it takes another element away from the pitcher as far as how he's going to try to get you out. He has to start thinking about pitching you tight again, which a power hitter like Say wants.
A lot of room on the right side of the infield with Landis-Story over near the bag and double plays up. There's a strike, 2-2. Howard Sutton, born in Clio, Alabama, and has he ever come a long way? Garvey right on the bag as Heap holds him on. Now he takes his lead. Say waits. Just outside. So Don Sutton goes all the way to the Penguin. Say checking with Ozark. Pete Guerrero chomping on some bubble gum, waiting his turn on deck. Again, Say backs up. Swung on and fouled straight back into the crowd. So Steve has to turn around and go back to first base. New baseball thrown out to Don Sutton from home plate umpire Jerry Dale. Say will try it again. The Astros scored their run in the top of the first inning. Poole singled, went to third on a base hit by Cedeno, and then scored on a ball hit back to Hooton. Garvey goes again. Driving Reynolds and into left center field. On to third goes Garvey.
Well, there's a case. Penguins got a full count on him. He's just trying to make contact and hit the ball back to the middle. Reynolds got a bad jump on the ball, because in that situation he shouldn't have been expecting Say to pull. He should have been looking for the ball to come back to the middle somewhere.
So Ron Say given instructions from first base coach and batting instructor Matty Mota. Pete Guerrero, .322 average last year, 7 home runs and 31 runs batted in. He had an outstanding spring, a .293 batting average. He led the team with 5 home runs and 19 runs batted in.
Well, I think Pedro's arrived. He's glad to be in the big leagues, but I think more importantly, he understands what it takes to play in the big leagues. He's got confidence in the fact that he can hit, and also that he can play the outfield.
Swung on and missed, and he was trying to put 3 on the board. 0-1 to Pedro Guerrero.
Well, that's a good fastball. Sutton threw inside, but the ball kind of sunk on him a little bit, and Pete jumped on it.
He had a pretty good opening day on Thursday afternoon, 3 for 4, hitting a mere .750. Because that can change in a hurry, can't it? Swung on and base hit. Garvey scores to tie it. Say stops at second.
Well, Sutton tried to pull him again with that same pitch in inside, and P was ready for it this time. He waited on the ball. But, you know, Geoff, when you're a contact hitter, Pedro's a contact hitter, you're going to get a lot of base hits for the simple reason that you're going to be hitting the ball, and when you have runners, they're going to be running and forcing the defense to move a lot. And anytime you make contact, there's a chance you're going to find a hole somewhere.
That brings up the young 22-year-old catcher, left-handed hitting Mike Scioscia. He takes a strike on the inside corner. 0-1 to Scioscia, who beat out veterans Steve Yeager and Joe Ferguson for the starting job behind the plate. Last year, .254 average, 1 home run, 8 runs batted in. Ground ball to the hole, and it's plugged up. Second for 1, and that is all as Scioscia beats the play down the line at first. So Danny Heath gets the force at second. Guerrero erased, and that'll bring up shortstop Bill Russell. 1-1 tie, bottom of the second, 1 out. Ron Cey at third, Mike Scioscia at first, and Russell ready to hit against Don Sutton. .264 last season for Ropes, whose season abruptly ended on September 12th when Mike Lacoste of Cincinnati hit him, and it just crushed his index finger of his right hand. He takes a strike. He had to undergo 2.5-hour surgery to put the finger back together. He had pins put in it. He was a big question mark, but he's come through it okay, and he started Thursday, went 2 for 3, and he's in there tonight. Just outside, 1 ball and 1 strike to Russell. Ron Cey at third. Mike Scioscia held on by Danny Heath at first. 1 run in, 1 out, 0-1 to Russell. Bottom of the second, all tied up at 1-1. The Dodgers and Astros. There goes Scioscia, and it's hit the center field, and it drops in front of Cedeno. Cey scores, and the Dodgers lead 2-1.
I think that pitch was just right down the middle, right up in Russell's wheelhouse right there. And Don just made a mistake. He just threw one and got away from him a little bit. But I think in that case right there, you know, Russell's a type of hitter. He just hits the ball where it's pitched, and he's the type of hitter that Sutton would have the most problems with, Geoff, because he doesn't try to overpower the ball. He just tries to make contact and move the ball around.
We have some action now in the Astros bullpen. Right-hander Joaquin Andujar is up and throwing behind Sutton. There's Joaquin loosening up. So the Dodgers lead now 2-1. Burt Hooton up there trying to get some more in. He's around a bunt, takes outside. Hooton last year hit under 100, 0.63, but he is a much better hitter than that would indicate. He also had 1 home run and 6 runs batted in. Scioscia takes his lead at second. Russell away from first, bunting again, and he gets it down. Howe only played first base, and the sacrifice works.
Well, that was a weird play right there, Geoff. I'll tell you why, because in your bunt plays that you work on, when the third baseman charges like that, normally he'll go to second base and try to get the double play. Otherwise, he'll let the pitcher take that ball and try to make a play at third. And with a slow runner on second like Scioscia, I didn't understand why they didn't have that play. Why would Howard be running in like that? Because it made no sense. Nobody was covering third base, and you're giving third base to a very slow runner.
Davey Lopes steps in with runners at second and third. The Dodgers leading 2-1. Lopes struck out his first time up. Outside. And Lopes asks Jerry Dale to check the ball. He does and throws it out of the game. inside part of home plate. Two runs, 4 hits, no errors for Los Angeles. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors for Houston. Bottom of the second. Mike Socha at third, Bill Russell at second. Lopes the hitter. 2 balls and 1 strike to count to Davy Lopes. Socha leads off third. Russell with a very short lead at second base. Strike 2 call. That evens things in 2-2. Backs out momentarily. You may have heard about the Ken Forsch, Dickie Thon deal possibly being called off if terms were not agreed upon today. That was settled. There's a line drive off the glove of Landeskog into center field. Socha scores. Here comes Russell. He scores, and it's 4-1 Los Angeles.
Jammed on that pitch, and I think it fooled Landeskog because he jumped too soon there, and consequently the ball hit off the top of his glove.
Ken Landreau takes a called strike. 0-1 to Landreau.
This fellow's a good ball player, Jeff. He'll be a great addition to the Dodger ball club.
So Lopes gets his first hit of the year and 2 RBIs to boot. 4-1 Los Angeles, and Lopes back on the bat. Davey, by the way, is 1 stolen base shy of 400 in his career. He does not go. 1 ball and 1 strike to Landreau. There's only been 1 Dodger in their history to steal over 400 in a career, and we all know the answer to that. Mr. Glory will. Lopes would be the second. Off the rubber. Cruz is right there. He's got it, and that'll do it for the Dodgers in the second. However, the damage was done. 4 runs on 5 hits. 1 man left on, and the score at the end of 2 innings here at Dodger Stadium. Los Angeles 4, Houston 1. I want to remind you about Dodgers Poster Day. This beautiful poster by artist Jim Czar will be given to all fans at tomorrow's Astro-Dodgers game. It's an afternoon contest. The poster features highlights of last year's great Astros-Dodgers series. Reserved seat tickets and general admission seats are available for tomorrow's contest. Game time, 1 o'clock. Dodger season tickets, it's still not too late to purchase Dodger season tickets. The Dodger Stadium ticket office is open from 9 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon to show you season seat locations. Why not stop by the Dodger Stadium ticket office when you're at the game tomorrow or any day next week and check out season seat locations. Dodger baseball, it's a Best Buy in town. Capacity crowd. They're enjoying themselves thus far after 4 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Dodgers, 1 run, 2 hits, no errors for Houston. Well, Burt Hooton must be feeling pretty good about things about now, Al.
Well, a pitcher usually takes a game in a couple contacts, Jeff. Burt hasn't really been throwing that well up to now, so he's glad to get the runs, but he's probably hoping he can get himself straightened out and start getting ahead of the hitters with a little more consistency. But it's always nice to have that big cushion early in the ball game.
Sutton steps in. And Hooton misses. 1 ball and no strikes. There's a big chopper over the mound. Russell has it. Over to Garvey. Sutton's gone. So Bill Russell, with that injured index finger apparently causing no problems whatsoever, takes care of Sutton. And here's leadoff man Terry Poole. He's going to have to send that uniform to the laundry after the game. Poole started off the ball game with a single to left and then eventually came around to score the only Houston run. Big chopper foul along first base. 0-1 to Terry Poole. Career, Al, I know that so many hitters, when they're jammed, they have problems. Was there any one hitter you can remember who you just couldn't jam? He'd always be able to hit you inside again. 1 and 2.
Al Kaline, he was very difficult to jam. He's very quick inside, and from a left-handed pitcher, he stayed far enough from the plate that to jam him, you had to throw a bad pitch, and he didn't swing at very many bad pitches.
High and inside.
Actually, it's not very cold out here. It's about 65 degrees, I imagine. But when you get back east in the spring of the year, that's when you try to jam just about everybody because hitters don't like the ball inside that time.
He pulled that one too much. The count will stay at 2-2 to Terry Poole. Skipper of the Astros, Bill Burton, looking on. There's a half swing looper down the left field line. That's going to be trouble, and it bounces in front of Dusty Baker. So Terry Poole has his second hit of the night. And shortstop Craig Reynolds coming up.
Well, that was, took a little chop swing on that one. One of those excuse me hits. But usually that's an indication that it was a pretty good breaking ball, and he just couldn't hold up on it.
Reynolds trying to bunt. Popped up to Ron Say back in the first inning, so Craig 0 for 1. Say comes up on the edge of the infield grass at third. The outfield is swung around towards left. He went around 0-1.
Imagine there's a little bit of unrest on this Houston ball club, Jeff. You know, they have Craig Reynolds, but they just got Dickie Thon and they got Kiko Garcia, and there's 2 other shortstops, and he must be thinking, boy, if I don't get 2 or 3 hits a game, I'm not going to be in the lineup very long.
He won't have to worry about Kiko for a while because he's on the disabled list for 15 days. There's a high fly ball in the shallow right field. Guerrero comes up, makes a catch, and Poole heads back to first base. But you're right, Dickie Thon and Garcia both can play shortstop, and I think
offensively, I think Thon is a little better ball player than Reynolds too.
And that's exactly what Hooton wanted to maybe get someone like that to push Reynolds, because he did drop off the year before. He did a little bit better offensively.
Why not just put him out at shortstop?
So 2 down, Poole at first, and here's Cesar Cedeno. His lead at first. He goes. The pitch is swung on and missed. The throw down to low, not nearly in time.
Well, Socha didn't have a chance there because Poole was running before Burt cocked his leg. That's one of the things the pitcher supposedly worked on in spring training, but when Burt was there, Poole already had 10 steps off off first base. There was no way he was going to throw him out. He made it close, but Burt's going to have to quicken his release a little bit.
That's something that all of the Dodger pitchers worked on during spring training, trying to hold the runners on a little bit better for their catching core. 0-1.
Well, it's not so much that you hold the runners on, it's more that you get rid of the ball quicker. So you get the ball to the catcher fast enough so he has time to make a play at second base.
Jerry Roy Royce will be out for 10 days with that strained right calf muscle. He was scheduled to pitch tomorrow afternoon, but it'll be Rick Sutcliffe instead. And Bob Welch will make his initial start on Monday up at Candlestick Park against the Giants. Fouled back by Cedeno, 1-2. So the Astros, with 5 new members of the team this year, Kiko Garcia acquired from Baltimore for Chris Burgess, who leads off second base. Dickie Thon obtained from the Angels for Ken Forsch April 1st, and that deal was settled today as Forsch and his agent came to terms with Buzzy Bavasi and the Angels. Down low, 2-2. Bob Nepper, a left-handed starting pitcher, acquired from San Francisco for Enos Cabell and Chris Borges. Got a player to be named later. That was December 8th of last year. And, of course, Dave Roberts and Don Sutton both signed as free agents. The only rookie on the Astros this season is a left-handed pitcher by the name of Bobby Sproul.
He was in the Red Sox organization at one time, I think.
There's a shot to left field, but that's where Baker hangs out, and he played it perfectly, makes the catch. In the top of the third for Houston, no runs, 1 hit, 1 man left on, and the score through 2.5 remains the Dodgers 4, the Astros 1.
When you look at the Houston Ball Club, all you think about is the excess of pitching that they have. But I asked Bill Verdon, how did he attempt to generate more offense out of his ball club this year?
Well, I think one thing that most people don't realize is that really power is not that important as far as our club's concerned. If you'll check the statistics over the course of the 162 games in 1980, we hit more home runs than the opposition did, so it really is immaterial how many home runs we do hit. We do have some potential. We get base hits, and I think we only scored something like 30 less runs than the Dodgers did last year, and they're considered one of the best in the offensive department.
In fact, the Dodgers ranked 6th in scoring runs, and the Astros ranked 7th. There was a 26-run deficit in the two ball clubs. So it all came down to the pitching, Geoff, and to that one ball game, the last game of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see how they pair up come October 4th this year.
As we get ready for the bottom of the third, it's the Dodgers leading Houston 4-1. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Los Angeles Dodgers Incorporated and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Los Angeles Dodgers Incorporated is prohibited. Dusty Baker will start it off. He'll be followed by Steve Garvey and Ron Say in the bottom of the third. The Dodgers and Burt Hooton leading the Astros and Don Sutton 4-1. Baker popped up to Landestroy his first time up, and he takes low, ball 1. Baker with a slightly closed stance. Started out in the Atlanta Braves organization. Played with a fellow by the name of Hank Aaron. He fouls that one back into the crowd behind home plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. Center field. They play Baker to pull. And he does to the left side of the infield. Backhanded by Reynolds. A long throw on a bounce in time. Doesn't matter how it gets there, Al, as long as it gets there.
Well, that's one of those Astro turf throws right there. Where you throw the ball on one hop, and with the AstroTurf, it just makes it way over to first base.
I guess Davey Concepcion really has mastered that play.
Yes, he has. Well, you know, you get deep in the hole on some of the power hitters, and you have to play them deeply on AstroTurf. You have to come up with that throw because there's no way you're going to be able to throw the ball all the way in the air. You wind up having a lot of bad throws.
Garvey steps in. He's 1 for 1. There's a strike.
I could see Houston playing Dusty to pull and giving them the big hole in right center, but not Garvey, because Garvey will take advantage of that alley right there.
And they're giving him a big hole in right center right now. Garvey started the 4-run, 5-hit uprising in the second inning. 1 ball and 1 strike to Steve.
When you're a hitter and you see that, Jeff, you know that you're going to get a lot of hard stuff in and very few breaking balls out over the plate there.
He fouls that one at home plate. Strike 2. 1-2 to Steve Garvey. Garvey with the 6th longest consecutive game playing streak in the history of Major League Baseball. 5 ahead of him: Lou Gehrig, Everett Scott, Billy Williams, Joe Sewell, and Stan the Man Musial.
Sutton's starting to settle down now. He's pitching a little more aggressively. He went right after Dusty, and he's going right after Steve. He seems to be throwing a lot freer right now. He's not aiming the ball any longer. And a lot of that is probably just the tension calls of coming back to pitch in his ballpark again.
Half swing, held up in time, outside. Of course, the Dodgers got down to their final 25-man roster the other day, and one major surprise was the designated for assignment of Don Stanhouse, the right-handed relief pitcher. Rudy Law, Jack Perconti optioned to Albuquerque. Outside, so Garvey draws a walk with 1 out. That'll bring up Ron Cey. And they placed right-handed pitcher Joe Beckwith on the 21-day receiver list. Did that come as a surprise to you?
Yes, it did, because he mentioned he had been injured, and usually when you're injured, they don't put you on assignment for purpose of getting rid of you. But, you know, mentioning Beckwith, I was talking to J.R. Richards today, and he said that he had the same problem with his left side now that Beckwith is having. And I'm kind of wondering whether Joe might not be leading up to something there. He really doesn't understand what it is. And he's having trouble having vision out of his left side when he releases the ball.
They have had him on steroids, I understand, and he is starting to feel a little bit better and notice some improvement. They pitch out, Garvey not going.
You just can't do a lot of weightlifting when you're on those things. They start looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Now that's not good for a pitcher.
Not for a pitcher.
Penguin had a base hit, and he scored a run back in the second inning. Garvey's got a pretty good lead. He holds him on. He does not go. The pitch, high, 2-0. Say checking Ozark, who flashes the signs to the Penguin. The right fielder, Terry Poole, is over to his right, giving Say the right field line and a lot of center and right center. 4-1, Dodgers, bottom of the third, 1 out. Garvey at first base. The count 2-0 to Ron Cey. Hit off the end of the stick, foul down the first base side. So Garvey goes back to first base. Don Sutton rubbing up a new baseball. Capacity crowd here at Dodger Stadium. I'm Jeff Witcher along with Al Downing. Hope you're enjoying the action. Called strike. 2-2 to Say.
And now you would think that they would close that gap a little more in right center field and let Cedeno move over, for the simple reason that Penguin's more likely to go to the opposite field with 2 strikes on him. But they don't seem to be doing it.
There's a shot to left field. Going back on the ball is Cruz. He's to the wall, and he drops the ball. Going to third is Garvey. In the second is Say. Waiting for the official scores ruling.
Well, it's a good breaking ball, but Penguin at 2 strikes, he's just trying to make contact, and I think the ball sunk on Cruz. He thought it was going to be out. It sunk and hit him on the palm of the glove.
So Say gets a break, and they give Cruz an error. So if you're scoring with us, E7, the crowd booing because Guerrero is given an intentional walk.
They're also booing because they didn't think that should have been an error. I don't think Penguin wanted to be an error either. He hit that ball pretty hard, and Cruz did have to go back to the wall for the ball. And even though he got there when the ball was there, it's a very difficult play.
And he made it look like an easy play, but
he made it look
wasn't.
like an easy play, but he had to jump for that ball. Then the ball sunk on him.
I guess we'll always have that problem with someone up in the stands or in the press box trying to score, and they're not down on the field because on certain plays, the angle or the difficulty, you just can't see it from in the stands, can you?
Well, also, Jeff, I think in all fairness, they should have an ex-ball player as a scorer who can understand just what it takes to go out there and try to catch the ball. He understands that, and he knows what should be a hit and what should be an error.
Bases loaded, one out. Mike Socia at the plate. Strike on the outside corner. Too much, and it's foul. 0-2 to Socia. There is someone up and throwing down in the right field corner in the Astros bullpen, but they're blocked from our vision. Earlier, it was veteran right-hander Joaquin Andujar, but we cannot tell you who it is at this point. 4-1 Dodgers, bottom of the third. They're trying to get some more. Bases full, one out. Way inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Steve Garvey at third. Ron Say takes a short lead away from second base, and Pete Guerrero not being held on at first. Swung on and missed for a big strikeout for Don Sutton. That is his second K tonight.
Well, that pitch was set up by the previous 2 pitches which were a breaking ball that he pulled foul, fastball up and in. And that was a good changeup that he threw away. But he got Socia thinking inside. He kind of pulled the string on him away from the plate. That's good pitching right there.
That'll bring up Bill Russell, who singled in a run back in the second inning. Russell is 3 for 4 so far on the season. Half swing, he fouls it right behind the Astros dugout here in the field boxes at Dodger Stadium. 0-1 to Russell. Bill Russell, the strawberry blonde from Pittsburgh, Kansas, and would you believe that he is now the dean of the Dodgers? Came up in 1969. Half swing. 1 ball and 1 strike to Russell. Started out his career as an outfielder. In fact, at one point, Walt Alston said that he could play center field as well as Willie Davis, and that's quite a compliment. Then he was converted to shortstop. He swings and he fouls it off the end of the stick, back into the crowd. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Garvey back to third. Say at second. Standing on at first base, Pedro Guerrero. 4 runs, 5 hits, no errors for Los Angeles. 1 run. It came in the first inning. 3 hits and 1 error for Houston. Bottom of the third. 2 outs. Swung on and it's hit to right center field. Poole is there. The ball hung up for him. He makes the catch, and Sutton gets out of a jam. In the third inning for the Dodgers. No runs, no hits, 1 error. 3 men left on, and the score at the end of 3. The Dodgers 4, the Astros 1. While we were down at Dodger Town at Vero Beach, Florida this spring, shooting our Dodger instructional features for use between innings, we recorded a very special outtake of Dodger left fielder Dusty Baker and friends. And we thought you'd enjoy sharing it with us.
Hey, Dusty, look, you forgot something here.
Oh, hi, Tosh. How you
Look, Josh,
doing?
look over there, honey.
Oh, yeah.
Wave to the people, Tosh.
Say hi.
Say hi.
Yeah, you know how to wear your sunglasses, don't you?
You wear sunglasses like Daddy, Tosh?
Oh,
Aren't
yeah.
they nice? Look at Toshy in there. Look. Look at those pretty sunglasses. You can even use them to knock out the glare of the sun, and you can use them for a mirror like that.
Peekaboo.
Look at that. She sees herself in there. Look.
Mm-hmm.
Look at
She has her own pair of sunglasses at the house. Okay, let me do this film, baby. I'll be right with you. Okay, take it
Go
back
see
to the
Mommy.
mom. Be right back.
Say bye, Daddy.
Bye-bye.
Dusty Baker, he's quite a human being, besides being an outstanding baseball player. He's a perfectionist from the word go. He's never satisfied, but he says he's always been that way. He's always trying to better himself. I guess as an athlete, that's more commonplace than a lot of people think.
Well, that's always your driving force, but I think coming up in an organization such as the Atlanta Braves, where there really wasn't that much continuity and there's a great turnover in players, you have to scrap every year to keep your job, and I think Dusty really appreciates being in the big leagues, and now he's appreciating what it takes to play every day and to really be a consistent player. And I think last year was just the start of what you're going to see, maybe 3 or 4 consistent good years in a row for Dusty.
Cleanup hitter Jose Cruz will start off the 4th against Burt Hooton. He'll be followed by Danny Heap and Art Howe. 4-1 Dodgers here in the 4th inning. Fouls it back, strike 1. Cruz grounded back to Hooton back in the 1st, but it was not an easy chance for Burt. And on the play, Poole scored from 3rd. 1-1. Versus the Dodgers, Cruz has a .288 batting average, 7 home runs, and 47 runs batted in. Called strike 3, a great pitch from Burt Hooton. Down goes Cruz.
Well, Burt's starting to throw the ball a little freer, too. He's starting to get more velocity, and he just threw Jose fastballs, and I think Jose kept looking for that curveball when he had 2 strikes. But I think Burt's now starting to relax a little bit and getting rid of the jitters of his first start this season.
Here's first baseman Danny Heap, who struck out back in the 1st. He's 0 for 1. Low. 1 ball, no strikes to Heap. As everyone talks about Houston's pitching, but they don't have a lot of stock, and their pitching has to be tough with their lineup out.
Well, their pitching has to be tough, and their defense has to be tough.
He fouls that one back.
And I think their defense is probably a little more questionable than their hitting. I think they have the hitting, they have the speed if they just use it properly, but the defense, is something that is still a question mark.
2 balls and 1 strike to Danny Heap. Nobody on, 1 out, 4th inning. Slices that one down the left field line. That'll carry back into the crowd. Baker has a look, but that's all. And they lost a leader and a very fine third baseman and hitter in Enos Cabell for pitcher Bob Nepper, and Joe Morgan. His leadership certainly helped them last season in their quest for their first National League West title. Hit up along first. It's a fair ball. Socia hurries, and now the ball hit him, and he's out. So the ball hit Danny Heap, so he is out of there. That's the 2nd out.
That ball's hit off the end of the bat, and it's going to curl around, and he just can't get out of the way of it.
So when that ball hits you and you're out of the batter's box, it's see you later. You can see the umpire with his palms up in the air saying, hey, he's out. Ball hit him. So 2 down, and here's third baseman Art Howe. He was called out on strikes his first time up, and he has a shot right back through the middle. Hit number 4 for Houston. That's why I would never want to be a pitcher, Al.
Well, you get a lot of practice on those things in spring training. Red Adams will stand about halfway to the mound and hit line drives back at you. You can always get out of the way of the ball whenever it's hit above your waist, but when it's hit below your waist, you're in trouble because there's no way you can move your feet fast enough to get out of the way of a line drive that's knee-high.
If you're wondering how you score that last play when it hit him, it would go to the man closest to the play, so give it to Sosha. Swung on and missed by Alan Ashby, the catcher, who grounded out to Lopes back in the second. 0-1 the count to Ashby. Center fielder Landreau is over to his right and left center. Ashby fouls it back to the screen. 0-2. They give him all of right center, although he is a left-handed hitter against the right-hander Hooton. And with the left-handed stick up there, Garvey is not holding Howe on at first base. There's one hit right over the mound. Charging Russell. He hurries in time. Nice play by the Dodger shortstop, Bill Russell, to get Ashby moving down the line.
Good play, because Ashby doesn't have great speed, but that's a difficult play. Russell's playing deep in his position, and he has to come in and throw that ball on the run. Very fine play.
So in the top of the fourth inning for Houston, no runs on a hit. They leave a man, and through 3.5 here at Dodger Stadium, the score remains Dodgers 4, Astros 1. Last season, we had the On TV Sports Quiz, which proved rather popular, so we will continue with it here in 1981. And our initial question of 1981 is, only 3 players have career batting averages of 300 or better with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Who are they? So you Dodger trivia experts, start thinking, and we will give you the answer a little bit later. And I know Al Downing will get them right. Okay, let's check the other Major League action in the National League. Montreal-Pittsburgh rained out. The Cubbies knocked off the Mets 3-1 at Wrigley Field. And Philadelphia zonked St. Louis 5-2. Cincinnati edged Atlanta 3-2. And San Francisco blanked San Diego at Candlestick Park. Over in the American League, it was the Yankees knocking off Texas 5-1. Milwaukee over Cleveland 5-3. The Tigers defeated Toronto's Blue Jays 6-2. Oakland shut out Minnesota 3-zip. In the first inning, the Angels have a 1-0 lead over the Mariners at the Kingdome up in Seattle. Don Sutton ready to work the bottom of the fourth inning. The Dodgers lead 4-1 on 4 runs, 6 hits, and no errors. The Astros 1 run, 4 hits, and no errors. And now we have a scoring change. If you're scoring with us at home, remember that ball that Ron Say hit and they gave Cruz an error? Take the error away and give Say a double.
I wonder if Penguin called the press box.
So Ron Say is now 2 for 2 tonight rather than 1 for 2. 0-1 the count to pitcher Burt Hooton. To the man called Happy. He picked that nickname up from Tommy Lasorda because, according to Lasorda, he never looks happy. Here's a high fly ball hit to left field. Cruz going back, but he's got room. He makes a catch. So Hooton gave it a ride, and he's done that before. He has 3 career home runs. In fact, last year, he hit a home run and drove in 4 July 29th against Pittsburgh. Did you ever have a day like that, Al?
Oh, yeah, I drove in 5 runs one night in Boston.
And did you hit a home run?
No, bases loaded, triple, and a single.
A triple?
Yeah, I displayed my speed that night. You know, I didn't want to go for the power.
A stand-up triple, or did you
anybody can hit it over that green monster. I just wanted to show him I could hit up the gap in right center.
Davey Lopes up there with nobody on and 1 out, and he rips it, but he pulls it too much back into the crowd. 0-1 to the Providence Express. Davey Lopes. Davey, he's as honest as you'll find among Major League ball players. He admitted that he did not have a good mental attitude, a good mental approach last season. He was affected by the talk of strike. And there's a strike. Jerry Dale rings him up, 0-2. There's talk of a strike again this season. May 29th is the deadline, unless the Owners and Players Association can work out that compensation issue. Called strike 3. But Lowe says he's in a great mental frame for 1981, and he's looking to be aggressive on the base pass and lead the Dodgers to hopefully a National League West run.
Well, Sutton's got all the hitters looking for the breaking ball, and he's getting 2 strikes, and he's nipping the corners of a fastball. But that's a pitch a couple innings ago that Jerry Dale wasn't given to Dine. I think probably Davey was probably just figuring, well, that he called it a ball before. Maybe he'll call it a ball this time.
Ken Landreau up there now with nobody on and 2 down. Bottom of the 4th. Dodgers 4, Astros 1. High. Now, don't pitchers dislike that when an umpire is inconsistent?
Yes, you want the consistency. You want to know that if you're in a tough jam, you throw a pitch in a certain location, you're going to have that pitch.
He's got one right there. Strike called on the outside part of the plate. That evens it at 1-1.
But the umpires also, Jeff, they have to adjust. It's a new season. They have to adjust to seeing the pitcher again and trying to remember what his pattern of pitching was.
That's popped up to the shallow left. Going out for it is Reynolds. Cruz coming in, and it's Craig Reynolds for the catch. And that'll do it for the Dodgers in the 4th. Easy inning for Don Sutton. The Dodgers go 1-2-3, and the score remains at the end of 4. The Dodgers 4 and the Astros 1.
Kenny Landreau was traded to the Dodgers just before the end of spring training, and I asked him, did he anticipate any difficulties in adjusting to a new league on such short notice?
I think I have to adjust a little bit defensively. I know some of the players, how they hit, and but I think some players I don't know, and I have to get a little help from the coaches and from our outfielders who's been here for a while. And offensively, I faced a lot of the National League pitchers, and I pretty much know just how they throw, but I still think it's some pitchers I haven't got a chance to face, and I think it'll be a little difficult one time around, but I think that in a matter of time, a short period of time, I will adjust.
You know, one of the interesting observations Ken made, Jeff, was that he's already noticed the difference in the strike zone in the 2 leagues, and then he's going to have to start zeroing in on the low pitch, because that is what the umpires in the National League have a tendency to call, and not the high pitches that you get in the American League. So his strike zone is going to narrow down somewhat.
Burt Hooton warming up to catcher Mike Scioscia. After 4, the Dodgers 4 runs, half dozen hits, no errors. The Astros 1 run, 4 hits, and no errors. Remember, if you were away for a moment, there was a change in the scoring as Bill Burton looks on from the Astros dugout on that ball that Ron Say hit back in the 3rd inning. They credited Say with a double. The new pitching coach of the Dodgers, Ron Peronowski, on the right of your screen, and the skipper, Tommy Lasorda, 25 pounds lighter. Diamond Vision, a little bit larger. They enlarged it for 1981.
Just when Tommy lost weight, too.
Here's second baseman Rafael Landeskog to start things off in the 5th inning. They'll be followed by Don Sutton and the leadoff hitter, Terry Poole. Say comes up on the edge of the infield grass at 3rd. The outfield shallow again and around towards left field. He's around to bunt, takes inside, ball 1.
Well, Rafael, one time, Jeff, was strictly a right-handed batter, and then the Dodgers persuaded him to switch hit. And one of the weapons he uses as a left-hand hitter is that drag bunt or that push bunt with his excellent speed.
Takes all the way, and it's a called strike on the inside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. He grounded out to Bill Russell back in the 2nd, so Landeskog making his first start of the season 0 for 1. Hits it the other way, and Russell cannot backhand it. It goes into left field. Base hit. Hit number 5 off Burt Hooton.
You call a cue shot right off the end of the bat. So he's swinging and he hits the ball inside out. And, well, that play right there, the shortstop doesn't have a chance because he's going by the stroke of the bat, and the stroke of the bat meant that the ball should have gone to the right side of the infield, but he hit the ball off the end of the bat. Therefore, he hit it to the other side, and Russell's weight was going the other way. You don't have a chance to get that ball.
Don Sutton, during his career, has not been a great hitter. 144 career average. He gets it right back to Hooton. He goes to Russell for 1. On to Garvin. Double play.
Burt made an excellent play right there. It was a hard-hit ball, a fake bunt, and he just put his glove out to knock it down, but just composed himself and made a good throw to Russell, who then was able to turn the double play for him.
And Garvey made a nice play, had to stretch out for it and able to backhand it, so fine play all the way around. A 1-6-3 double play if you're scoring, and that brings up Terry Poole with nobody on and 2 down. Poole is 2 for 2 tonight, a single to left field, scored a run in the first, and then single to left in the third, also had a stolen base. Low, ball 1. 4-1 Dodgers. Top of the 5th inning. Sellout crowd here at Dodger Stadium. I'm Geoff Witcher along with Al Downing. Hope you're enjoying our initial telecast, the first of 15 specially selected Dodger home games on TV, 1981. Lots of people here.
Big traffic jam getting out of this ballpark tonight, Geoff.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, I'll stay after. Let you buy me a tomato juice.
All right.
Off the pitch, and he fouls it behind home plate back into the crowd. Terry Poole has played all 3 outfield positions for Houston, but the last couple of years has finally settled in as their right fielder with Jose Cruz moving to left. Way outside by Happy, 2-2 the count. 2,000th career inning in the National League. That's a few innings, isn't it?
That's quite a few innings, and a lot of wear and tear on that arm.
Third base umpire Bob Engel trying to get the attention of someone, and now the home plate umpire Jerry Dale. Was a light on up in the press box area.
The press box area.
Cole fair down the right field line into the corner. Poole is on his way for 2 as Pete Guerrero is up with it. Gets it back in. Standing at second is Terry Poole with a 2-out double. So Terry is 3 for 3 as he stands at second base.
He's a good hitter. With 2 strikes, he's just trying to make contact. It's a good low fastball, but he went down and got it. Can't do anything about those plays.
That brings up the Astros shortstop, Craig Reynolds. Trying to bunt in the first inning. He popped up to the Penguin at third, and then he flied out to Pedro Guerrero in the third. So Reynolds 0 for 2. Which makes him 2 for 6 on the season, hitting .333. Strike on the outside corner of the plate, 0-1 to Reynolds. Gordon Craig Reynolds, 28 years old, 6'1", 175-pounder. The Astros picked him up from the Seattle Mariners for Floyd Bannister in December of 1978. Strike 2 call. Now from up here, Al, that pitch looked like it was right down the middle. Was he guessing?
Well, he's not a very aggressive hitter, Geoff, and I think he might have been guessing curveball. And it was a fastball, and he figures less than 2 strikes, I'll take it. But with a man in scoring position, you don't guess. You just look for the ball. He's supposed to look for the ball and try to drive that man in.
He made the All-Star team in the American League in '78, then turned around and made it in the National League in 1979. There's a cue shot, but it's foul. Kicks off the auxiliary scoreboard, and the Dodger bat boy picks it up. Burt Hooton, first start of 1981. He made 33 starts last season, completed only 4 games. He also had 1 relief performance, and he picked up a save in that one. 0-2 to Craig Reynolds. Terry Poole at second base. Called strike 3. Reynolds not happy with the call, but it stands.
Well, it's the fastball. It's just on the inside part of the plate, and he was surprised that the ball kind of backed up over the inside corner. One of Burt's better fastballs.
So for the Astros in the 5th, no runs on 2 hits, and they leave 1 man on. And the score at the end of 4 1/2 innings of play here at Dodger Stadium, the Dodgers 4 and the Astros 1. Tonight it was quite a pitching matchup. A couple of veteran right-handers, in fact former teammates. Don Sutton making his first start in a Houston uniform, and Burt Hooton going against him. Burt now is the dean of the staff since the departure of Sutton, and he's putting it to him tonight.
Well, Don got off to a shaky start, but you have to realize there was a lot of emotion involved. Coming back to Dodger Stadium in his first start of the season, I think he's settled down now. And I think Burt's also settled down, and right now they're both pitching at the top of their games.
Now, Al Downing knows what he's talking about, because when he went from the Yankees to the Oakland A's, he had to pitch against his former mates. What was that feeling? What were you feeling inside?
Well, I was trying to figure out how I was going to get him out, number one. But basically, you just go out there on the mound and try to figure out what your pattern of pitching is going to be, and remember how you pitch to a player or how somebody else pitched to him.
The Dodgers lead 4-1. Let's go back to the action as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Dusty Baker will start things off for Los Angeles. And he'll be followed by Steve Garvey and Ron Say. Baker tonight popped up to second baseman Landesstory in the 1st and then grounded out to Craig Reynolds in the 3rd. So Dusty looking for his first hit of 1981. He's 0 for 6 thus far. Way outside and down low. 1 ball, no strikes to Dusty Baker.
You know, you can tell the difference, Jeff, in the breaking balls of both Sutton and Hooton, and that gives you an indication that they've loosened up because the breaking ball has more spin on it now. The ball's actually dropping. Before, it was more of a slider-type breaking ball because they were tight and they were choking the ball off.
There's a strike, 2-1 to Baker. Sutton, 36 years old now. Center field and deep, going back on the ball to Cedeno. He's got a long way to go, and it's off the wall. Baker is heading for second. He's going to go for 3. Here comes a throw. He's in with a stand-up triple.
Well, that's when Dusty's most effective as a hitter. He's going to the opposite field with the pitch, and they had the big gap out there for him. And he knows that there's no outfielders around, so once he rounds first, he knows he has clear cell in the 3rd base. He doesn't need a signal from the coach.
Dusty Baker pulls up with a stand-up triple, opening up the bottom of the 5th inning, and the capacity crowd starts some hand clapping again.
Well, this is where the Dodgers batting order, Jeff, is very devastating because now you have about 3 power hitters in a row coming up here, and you have a man on 3rd with nobody out. So Sutton, I mean, the infield's in. He has to be very careful right here.
Pitch to Garvey is low and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Garvey singled to open up the 2nd inning uprising, which the Dodgers scored 4 times on 5 hits. And then he walked back in the 3rd. So Steve is 1 for 1 and has scored a run. Outside again, ball 2. As Al pointed out, the infield is drawn in. The outfield swung around towards left and fairly deep. There's the infield alignment. Right-hander Joaquin Andujar is up and throwing again behind Sutton in the Astros pen. Way outside, ball 3. Garvey immediately stares down at Danny Ozark to see if he'll be given the green light.
I think Sutton is unintentionally walking him. I don't think he wants to give him anything good to hit at all because he knows Steve will hit the ball all over the field, whereas Ron is more of a pull hitter.
Say stands on deck. Way outside. So Don Sutton walks Garvey That is the third walk given up by Sutton tonight. Craig Reynolds came in to say something to Sutton. Alan Ashby went out and had a few words with Don. Diamond vision, save, 2 for 2. A single in the second, a double in the third, and he scored a run back in the second. Baker away from third. Garvey being held on at first by Danny Heath. 4-1 Dodgers, bottom of the 5th inning, they're trying for more. Say takes outside. Good eye. 1 ball, no strikes. Don Sutton ranks 43rd on the all-time win list for Major League pitchers. He has 52 career shutouts. Only 10 men have more. Strike to the Penguin. At one time, Al, they said that Don Sutton had as good a curveball as anybody in the National League.
I didn't see Sutton in those early years. I think 66, 66. I was in the American League then, but I remember Mel Stoudemire coming back from an All-Star game and remarking how great a curveball that Sutton had. And I got to see Don in 71, and he had started throwing a slider, which took something off his curveball.
Ready to pounce on it, but he takes outside. Ball 2, 2-1. I guess after that, then they talked about Burt Blyleven with the great breaking pitch.
He still has a great curveball.
Pete Guerrero on deck for Los Angeles.
Well, this is where Penguin has to be very selective. He's looking for a pitch in a certain location, and if he doesn't get it, he's not going to swing.
Apparently, he didn't get it. He did not swing, and it's ball 3, 3-1. He checks with Ozark.
And yet that was a pretty good pitch. A less disciplined hitter would have swung at it, but he knows that he wants a pitch that he can get in the air and drive.
Baker takes his lead. Ozark talks to him. Garvey away from the bag at first. 4-1 Dodgers trying for more. A throw to first, not in time. Bottom of the 5th inning.
Well, I think Sutton is expecting Garvey to be moving with this pitch here.
Scores. Garvey stops at second. 5-1 Dodgers. Bill Burton heading out to the mound, and the crowd loving it. They're on their feet in mass here at Dodger Stadium. With Don Sutton, who doesn't seem to be too upset about things.
Well, it's a good breaking ball, but Penguin he's just a fine hitter. It's amazing that he doesn't hit for higher average because as you mentioned before, he has a tremendous knowledge of the strike zone. He's very patient at the plate. But once in a while, he just gets in the habit of pulling. But right there, he just waited on that pitch very well. I think Sutton is probably a little relieved because he was under a lot of stress today. It's very difficult to come in and pitch under these circumstances.
It'll be veteran right-hander Joaquin Andujar who will take over for Don Sutton. With runners at first and second, nobody out, bottom of the 5th inning. If you think you've heard the crowd making noise, wait till Sutton walks into that dugout. I'm sure this place will come apart at the seams. Sutton still has the baseball. Now he gives it to Andujar. Listen to the crowd now as Sutton heads to the locker room. So Joaquin Andujar begins his warm-up tosses, and he gets 8 of them. And Al, why don't you run down what we might see from Andujar? What kind of stuff does he have?
Joaquin is a power pitcher, Jeff, and I think he's somewhat of a puzzlement. I think he has the best stuff on the ball club, but yet he never seems to pitch with any type of consistency. He has a good fastball, good breaking ball, a good off-speed curveball, and fairly good control. But sometimes he gets erratic and he's out of the strike zone, and other times he pitches in those great spurts, and you just can't seem to hit him. But I think that this is probably the best spot for him as a long or middle relief man, where he can come in and just air it out for 2 or 3 innings.
Yeah, he has been used in just about every capacity a pitcher could be used, a spot starter, long man, short man. And he's been in the doghouse with Billy Burton a couple of times and almost was traded and demanded to be traded. But when he's on, as you say, he is a dandy.
He's tough. And last year he had a little bit of a problem there with the ball club. He felt he should have been starting, and Burton had put him in the bullpen, and he felt slighted by it. He felt he had put in his years and had earned the right to start. And sometimes, you know, pitchers, they feel that way. And you really can't blame them. You have to have confidence in your ability.
The first man that Andujar will face is one of the hottest hitting Dodgers, Pete Guerrero. Guerrero went 3 for 4 on opening day, singled his first time up in the second tonight, drove in a run, and was intentionally walked by Sutton in the third. And now we'll face Joaquin Andujar. 5-1 Los Angeles. Garvey away from second. Say leads off first. Ball 1.
Well, these fellows are from the same hometown, Jeff, so conceivably they faced each other quite a bit in the past, perhaps in the Dominican Winter League. And I don't think there would be any secrets as to what one might be expecting at the plate, or what Andujar thinks that Guerrero can or cannot hit.
Good heater, but he missed. 2-0. Andujar was acquired from the Cincinnati Reds back in 1975 for Carlos Alfonso and Luis Sanchez. With Houston since 1976 as far as his big league career is concerned. He was 3-8 last year with a 3.91 earned run average. There's a strike on the outside corner. He won 12 games for the Astros in 1979, 11 in 77. I guess if he had his druthers, he would like to be in that starting rotation. Of course, there was a time, I guess, that it was a demotion to go to the bullpen.
It was, and I think that's when they took the veteran pitchers and they put them in the bullpen because they were in the last leg. But now you take the young power pitchers and throw them in the bullpen because you want to keep that hitter off guard all during the game. You bring in more and more hard throwers as the game progresses.
Just outside, Guerrero. Full count now to Pete. Garvey right on the bag at second. Say just a couple of steps away from first, not being held on by Danny Heath. The outfield is deep and around towards left. Still no breeze here at Dodger Stadium. A sellout crowd having all kinds of fun. 5-1 Dodgers, bottom of the 5th inning. Outside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded for Mike Scioscia.
Well, that's not quite what Bill Worden had in mind when he brought Andujar in, but that's a case in point of how Andujar pitches right there. He was ahead in the count, and he just lost Guerrero, and I think mainly because he just tries so hard out there on the mound sometimes. I think that he just loses control of himself. But that last pitch wasn't anywhere near the plate.
Scioscia, so far tonight, 0 for 2, and has scored a run. Struck out back in the 3rd. Swung on, and there's a fly ball into center field. Cedeno ready, tagging is Garvey. Here he comes to the plate. The throw is cut off, and Garvey scores, and it's 6-1 Los Angeles. sacrifice fly for Scioscia and an RBI. And that brings up shortstop Bill Russell as Scioscia gets the congratulatory handshakes from Tom Lasorda and the rest of his teammates, and Garvey as well. Bill Russell singled in a run in the second, came around to score, and then flied out to Terry Poole in right field in the third. 1 for 2 tonight. There's a drive hit to left center field. Cedeno calling for it right in front of Cruz, and the runners hold. So 2 down, and Burt Hooton will be the batter as Ron Say stands at second.
Cedeno seems to be moving fairly well out there in the outfield. Geoff, doesn't look like the ankle's bothering him. He's running fluidly. Even on Dusty's triple, he got over to the wall pretty good. It's just that he was out of position to get to the ball.
I agree, which is surprising when you think he had a dislocated ankle, and I understand it was very, very serious. Andujar with a mustache, waiting for Hooton. Warming up behind the big right-hander Joaquin Andujar is the only rookie to make the Astros, a left-handed pitcher, Bobby Sproul. He's warming up in the bullpen. Hooton sacrificed in the second, flied out to left fielder Cruz in the fourth. So he's 0 for 1. Half swing back into the crowd. 6-1 Dodgers. They scored 4 in the second, 2 so far here in the fifth. With runners at first and second, 0-1 the count to Hooton. That run brought home by Garvey, by the way, if you're scoring with us, is charged to starting pitcher Don Sutton. Don't close the book on Sutton yet. Low, 2-1.
Here's a case, Geoff, where Andujar and Ashby are just giving Burt Hooton just a little bit too much respect. You know, you have 2 outs, you got a man in scoring position, you go right after the pitcher, go get him and get him out. Make him hit the ball.
Swung on and missed, strike 2. 2-2. So deuces wild for Los Angeles in the bottom of the fifth. They've got a deuce up on the board. They have 2 base runners, 2-2 the count, and 2 down. Take that to Vegas. Swinging. So Hooton strikes out, and for the Dodgers in the fifth, they settle for 2 runs on 2 hits, 2 men left on. The score through 5. The Dodgers 6, the Astros 1. Well, young Mike Scioscia has won the Dodgers starting catcher's job this season, and one of the toughest things a young catcher must learn is how to effectively block balls in the dirt. We asked the young Dodger backstop to demonstrate the proper technique.
Okay, I'd like to talk today about blocking balls in the dirt. This is one of the most important jobs that a catcher has to do to try to stop runners from advancing to bases. And I'd just like to get down and show you the technique right now. It's very simple. It's a tough thing to master, but the technique is very simple. You're in your basic catching stance, and let's assume that a ball is going to hit about right here in the dirt. Well, all you want to do is go down on your right knee, if it's on this side, like here, have your glove between your legs on the ground. You don't want the ball to scoot underneath. Between your legs, and don't try to catch the ball. Just let it bounce up, and you've got all protection here, chest protector, and let it bounce in front. Okay, now if the ball's on the other side right here, all you want to do is go down your left knee. Go down your left knee right here. Make sure the glove is on the ground, and block it right there. Don't try to catch it. Just block in front and get on the ball so a runner cannot advance. This is the 2 basic steps to practice, and you don't want to vary from these. Just practice them and master them, and it's very easy. Just make sure you have the glove in the middle and don't try to catch the ball, and you should have no trouble.
Yes, Mike Socia took his tutoring well from one of the all-time great catchers, Brooklyn and Los Angeles fame, Roy Campanella, and he won the starting job. And boy, he certainly is a happy 22-year-old major leaguer, and well, he should be. Well, at the end of 5 here at Dodger Stadium with a capacity crowd, the Dodgers lead the Houston Astros 6-1. 6 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. Houston 1 run, half dozen hits, and no errors. A lot of the fans having a real good time, and Hooton getting ready for the top of the 6th inning. He'll work to Cesar Cedeno, Jose Cruz, and Danny Heap. Of course, the Dodgers did a job on their former mate, Don Sutton, and you can close the book now on Sutton. He worked 4 innings plus. He allowed 6 runs, all earned, 8 hits, had 3 strikeouts, and 3 walks, one of those intentional. Here's Cesar Cedeno stepping in. Ball 1. Cesar tonight, base hit to right field in the 1st and flied out to Dusty Baker in the 3rd. 1 for 2. Hit sharply to second base. Lopes grounds. Throws it out. So 1 down, and Jose Cruz coming up. Jose hit back to the box. That got a run home in the 1st and then struck out looking in the 4th. Stays with it, does it himself. So quickly, 2 gone here in the 6th inning.
Garvey made a good play on that one. The ball took a bad hop off from coming off the left-hander's bat, and he blocked it with his left leg. You watch right there. He blocked it with his left leg so he could keep the ball in front of him in case he couldn't catch it. It's always a tough play for the first baseman.
Brings up left-hand swinging first baseman Danny Heap. Daniel William, he's 23 years old. Fouls it back to the screen. 0-1. He was the Astros' #2 selection in the June 1978 free agent draft. He was originally an outfielder and then moved to first base last spring training. Hoop misses inside. 1-1. He spent most of last season with the Astros AAA Farm Club in the Pacific Coast League, Tucson. Down low, 2-1. He ripped up the PCL with a .343 average, 17 home runs, and 69 runs batted in. And that's Art Howe on deck for Houston. There's a shot to right field. Coming up for it is Guerrero, and he plays it on a hop. Base hit for Danny Heap with 2 down.
Well, Pete knew that ball was hit hard, Jeff, and at first he thought it might take off, but then when he saw it sinking, he decided to come in and try to catch it on a hop. But that's one of those plays. He was very fortunate that the ball hopped right into his glove. Otherwise, it would have gone to the wall for 3-bagger. But that's a very difficult play for the outfielder because the ball looks like it's going to take off, and then at the last minute it sinks on you.
Here's Arthur Henry Jr. Art Howe with Heap at first and 2 down. Top of the 6th inning, the Dodgers with a 5-run lead over Houston. 6-1 to score. There's a sharp one backhanded by Lopes. He'll step on second, and that forces Heap. Nice play by Lopes, and Hooton is out of the 6th inning. For Houston, no runs on 1 hit. 1 man left on, and the score through 5.5. Dodgers 6, Astros 1. Joaquin Andujar starts to warm up as we get ready for the bottom of the 6th inning. 6 runs, 8 hits, no errors for Los Angeles. 1 run, 7 hits, no errors for the Houston Astros. Tomorrow afternoon, it will be Rick Sutcliffe making his first start of the 1981 season, and he'll try to make everybody, including himself, forget about the nightmarish 1980 season he had.
Cesar Cedeno fractured his right ankle in the playoffs against the Phillies this past season. I asked him, has he recovered 100% from that compound fracture?
Well, I still have a way to go with my ankle. It's good enough to play. I only have it on 65 to 70% flexibility on it, but it's not affecting me to play in the field or hitting the ball. I think it kind of had improved my hitting.
Well, the reason he mentioned it improved his hitting, Geoff, he said it made him wait back on that right foot. Consequently, by waiting back on that right foot, he stopped jumping at the ball, and he thinks that it makes him a more patient hitter now. But I think a lot of that patience also comes from the fact that he's more experienced. But he's the key to their offense. If he plays and he produces, along with Jose Cruz and Art Howell, then they'll have a successful season.
I think that's a very interesting point, because it's probably something that young hitters have a lot of trouble with, because they want to perform well, they want to impress, and sometimes they're over-aggressive. What, as a pitcher, as a young pitcher, what is one of the major problems that a kid would have?
Well, you'd have the same problem. You jump. What would happen is you'd be so anxious to throw the ball that your body would start getting ahead of your arm, and consequently your arm would lag and you'd wind up being high in the strike zone. And it's a similar reaction you would have to a hitter jumping at the ball at home plate.
We go now to the bottom of the 6th inning, the top of the lineup for Los Angeles to face Joaquin Andujar, who took over in the 5th for Don Sutton and worked his way out of a jam. Davey Lopes, Ken Landreau, and Dusty Baker. The skipper, Tommy Lasorda, looking on, and he's quite happy about things, and well, he should be. Lopes 1 for 3 tonight, takes way inside, ball 1. Lopes struck out in the 1st, singled in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th, all against Don Sutton. This is his first time against Andujar. There's a shot gloved by Landestoi. Last time Lopes hit that ball, jumping too soon, Landestoi had it bounce off his glove, but not this time.
Well, he hit this ball a little harder, Geoff, and Landestoi was moving to his left. He's a very good infielder, very quick. And you see he got there.
1 down. Here's center fielder Ken Landreau. Landreau grounded out to Landestoi in the 1st, flied out to Baker in the 2nd, and then popped up to Craig Reynolds in shallow left field in the 4th inning. Andujar misses. 1 ball, no strikes to Landreau. He wears the number that
a lot of famous players have worn. A lot of famous players have worn that number,
Number
Geoff.
44. You better believe it. Slices foul and out of play. Henry Aaron wore it.
Willie McCovey.
Willie McCovey wore it.
Reggie Jackson wears it. Al Downing wore it.
I was wondering when you were going to get to that.
Well, I saved the best for last.
Al Downing wore number 44 too. Landreau wore number 44 when he was with Minnesota, if you are wondering.
That's probably why they traded him for Hatcher. All they had to do was resell the names.
That's right. I wonder if they wore the same size uniform.
I'm sure if they didn't, they'd shrink it or stretch it, put some more material in it.
1 and 2 to Landreau. Nobody on, 1 out, 6 innings. 6-1 Dodgers. 1 hopper off the glove of Landestoi into right field. Landreau is going to go for 2. Here comes a throw. He's in there.
That's a remarkable play, because number 1, the ball was hit very sharply off the bat, and so sharply, in fact, that Landestoi, even with his good speed, couldn't get it. See, Landestoi has excellent speed, and he couldn't get the ball. Hits off his glove, and yet it wasn't that deep.
No, Poole was charging.
He's charging on the ball, and speed just forced Poole into making an erratic throw, and Landestoi was able to come up with a double.
Well, that's what they talk about when they say play aggressive baseball and force the opposition to make a mistake. That's a good example of it.
Well, I knew Landreau was a good hitter. I didn't realize he had that kind of speed.
And if you're wondering how the official score ruled, they give Landreau a double. Baker hits it to center field. It's going to be trouble. It drops in over Landestoi's head. Here comes Landreau to the plate. Here comes a throw. He is safe.
Well, Bake just kind of hit that ball at the end of the bat right over second base. In fact, Landestoi almost had a play on it. I think if Cedeno had thrown that ball, it might have been a closer play, but then again, he didn't have a chance to get to it. But Ashby did a great job of blocking the plate, but he just couldn't come up with the ball.
So it's now 7-1. Dodgers in the bottom of the 6th inning. A single for Baker, an RBI. He went to second on the throw, and Steve Garvey steps in. Ball 1 to Garvey.
This is what puts pressures on opposing pitchers, Geoff. The fact that you know, you have a fast man like Landreau get on the base and generate some enthusiasm, and now you have the power of the lineup coming up.
Strike on the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike to Garvey. Steve 1 for 1 tonight. He singled and walked twice. Swung on, didn't get it. Strike 2, 1 and 2. There is action in the Astros bullpen, but we cannot tell you who they are because they're blocked. There's the right-hander. That looks like on the left side, right-hander Frank Licordi. Poole and Heath, and he drops the ball. Baker goes to third. Garvey's in at second. The throw is at home, but Baker holds at third. So Dusty Baker stops at third, and Garvey stands at second.
Well, that's a very difficult play, Geoff, because that ball's hitting no man's land. It's in between the first baseman, second baseman, and right fielder, who had a very long run for it, very fortunate to get his glove on the ball. And running at full speed, just wasn't able to hold on to it.
Timeout called as the pitching coach goes out to talk with Andujar. And that is Melvin Wright. Mel Wright, the fine pitching coach of the Houston Astros.
Well, that's a situation where Andujar gave up 1 sharp hit to Landreau. He turned it into a double and 2 bloopers.
And the official score has given right fielder Terry Poole an error on the play. So Garvey does not get credit for a hit. It's an error. Terry Poole given an error on that last play. It was a tough chance, but they felt he should have made the play.
Well, I think they felt he had the ball in his glove.
Swing, doesn't get it. 0-1. Say's had a big night. 3 for 3. 2 singles, a double, a run batted in, and he has scored a run.
He's hit the ball sharply all 3 times, very sharply.
And he hit it sharply on Thursday afternoon, so he's off to another hot start. This is there. 0-2. Bottom of the 6th inning, 1 run in for Los Angeles. They lead Houston by 6, 7-1 the score. 7 runs on 10 hits. The Astros have 7 hits, but only 1 run to show.
Well, Casey Stengel would have pinch hit for Penguin in this situation because he felt he hit the ball sharply 3 times. He's not going to do it a 4th time.
With the infield drawn in, the ball is low, 1-2. Are you serious?
That was one of his theories. You know, a guy's been extremely successful one particular day. You pinch hit because you know the next time he's going to fail.
Baker at third. Garvey leads off second. The Penguins studying Joaquin Andujar, who took over for Sutton back in the 5th inning. Low and away. Warming up in the Dodger bullpen in the left field corner is one of 2 rookies who made the club, right-hander Dave Stewart. In fact, he was told early in the day on Wednesday that he was going to be cut, and then he got a reprieve later. He's warming up right now, as you see. Got him swinging. So the Penguin fans comes Guerrero. Second strikeout for Andujar. Guerrero singled to left in the second. Drove in a run, was intentionally walked by Sutton in the third, and was unintentionally walked by Andujar in the fifth. Baker and Garvey lead off third and second respectively with 2 down. Fastball is inside, 1-0 to Pedro Guerrero. Mike Scioscia, the young catcher, waiting his turn on deck. Bottom of the 6th inning, 7-1 Los Angeles. Timeout, Pete steps out. Baker with a short lead at third as Ozark yells something out at Garvey, who has his lead from second. There's a strike on Guerrero. Field shading Guerrero around towards left. Scioscia looks on from the on-deck circle. Fouled away. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Pedro Guerrero.
Andujar not only gives you a lot of different motions, he gives you a lot of different release points. He'll throw 3/4 one time, he'll kind of drop down even lower on right-handed another time. He'll come over top sometimes on his fastball, come over top on his slider. And it makes it really difficult to pick up any type of point of release on him. And he's thrown extremely hard to begin with. And you don't know whether he's going to throw it over the plate or not.
Swung on and foul tip at home plate. The count remains 1-2. So the Astros drew first blood. They scored their only run in the first inning. The Dodgers came up with 4 on 5 hits in the second, 2 more in the fifth to chase Sutton. Bill Burt not happy about things right now. And then 1 so far here in the 6th inning. 7-1 Los Angeles with 2 down, runners at second and third. Fly ball playable to center field. Cedeno is right there. He's got it. In the 6th inning for the Dodgers, they settle for 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error, and 2 men left on. The score through 6 here at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers 7, the Astros 1. Earlier this evening, we gave you a test of all you trivia experts, the on-TV sports question. And that was only 3 players have career batting averages of 300 or better with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Who are they? Did you get them? Here are the answers. Manny Mota, 315. Steve Garvey, 304. And one of the finest hitters ever in the National League, Tommy Davis, 304. Did you get them all, Al?
No.
There's our on-TV position from center field. On-TV continues its exclusive live coverage of thoroughbred racing from magnificent Santa Anita Park tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock as we present the 44th running of the Santa Anita Derby. Among the horses expected to vie for the $200,000 purse are Flying Nashua, winner of the San Vicente Stakes and San Rafael Stakes winner, John Lee and Harold. Join Dave Johnson and Gil Stratton for all the excitement. That's tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock, the Santa Anita Derby, right here on TV. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, look at this from Madison Square Garden. The Rangers crushing the LA Kings 10-3. So New York leads that series 2-1.
Looks like a baseball score.
Sure does. Or a football score. Touchdown, extra point, and a field goal against a field goal. Tonight's attendance, 51,691. It was announced as a sellout, so we did have some no-shows. The 7th straight sellout here at Dodger Stadium. First pitch to Alan Ashby. Swung on and missed, strike 1. Was that the famed knuckle curve?
I was watching Ashby more than anything, figuring out how come a guy is down 7-1 in the 7th inning is jumping on the first pitch and a 230 hitter. I don't know.
It's a good point. 0-2 now as Ashby is in a hole. Ashby tonight grounded out twice in the 2nd and in the 4th. He fouls that one back. Fouled again. 7 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. 1 run, 7 hits, and 1 error for Houston. We are in the top of the 7th inning. In the dirt, 1 ball and 2 strikes. We'd be remiss not to mention the fact that James Rodney Richard, who is recovering from that stroke, is on the 60-day emergency list as he is trying to recover and pitch again in 1981. He got a great standing ovation, a well-deserved reception on Thursday afternoon during the opening day ceremonies. And Al, did you mention earlier you had a chance to talk with him?
I talked with JR. JR said he feels fine. He's running 3 or 4 miles a day. He's not throwing batting practice yet, but he's taking batting practice, and he still doesn't know how he's going to react to the ball coming back to the mound yet, but he still has trouble on the left side. The vision on the left side is still a little impaired.
Big chopper to Garvey. He does it himself. That's what we continually have been hearing, that the big problem is depth perception.
And for a right-handed pitcher, that's a very serious problem because the left side is the side that he actually picks up the plate, picks up the target.
Well, it's great to see him back in uniform, and we wish him well and hope that he's pitching in one of these games before 1981 is up. And if anybody can do it, it's Big JR. Rafael Landistoroy, Astros second baseman, is in there now. Looked like he was going to try to drag it. He took it, called strike 1.
I've often wondered why fellows with Landistoroy's speed didn't try to drag at least once every time they came to the plate, because it just puts the pitcher on that much more of the defensive to know the guy with that speed is going to get the ball on the ground. You can't throw him out.
He bunts that one right back
to the pitcher.
To Garvey in time. 1-3 if you're scoring with us. 2 down, and we'll have a pinch hitter for Andujar.
Oh, he had the right idea, but he just bunted the ball right back to the pitcher, which makes it a little easier to throw him out. Nullifies the speed right there.
So pinch hitting for Andujar is Dave Bergman. He was acquired as a player to be named later in the 1977 trade that sent much-traveled Cliff Johnson to the Yankees in exchange for Mike Fischlin and Randy Neiman. Bergman, one of 2 left-handed hitters off that bench. He takes a strike, 0-1. The other would be Dennis Walling in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. The pinch hitter, Dave Bergman. Bill Burton, the only man that I can remember who won the Sporting News Manager of the Year award in both leagues. There's a slicing foul back into the crowd. He won it last season for the job he did, leading his team to the NL West crown as a National League manager. And he also won the award when he managed the New York Yankees some years ago. High pop-up into shallow right field. Lopes goes out. Guerrero comes in, and it's Guerrero for the catch. So Hooton, breezing along, sets the Astros down 1-2-3 in the 7th inning. The score through 6.5 remains. Dodgers 7, Astros 1. On TV continues to bring you the finest in motion picture entertainment, and tomorrow night we are pleased to present Angie Dickinson and Brian De Palma's chilling thriller Dressed to Kill. Michael Caine co-stars in this terrifying murder mystery.
They shared the same secrets.
Bobby, I borrowed your razor.
they loved the same woman.
Sorry. I shouldn't have been so rude. Thank you for picking up. Would you want to sleep with me?
Yes.
Then why don't you?
But one of them wanted more. One of them was a murderer.
Some blonde saw me, but I'll get her.
I've already been to the police.
Angie Dickinson and Michael Caine in Brian De Palma's chilling mystery, Dressed to Kill.
Yes, a capacity crowd having a lot of fun out here tonight. Their team, the Dodgers, out in front, 7-1. And there's the man we've been talking about, Big James Rodney Richard, Al Downey.
Yes, he is. Well, Jay's got a very positive frame of mind, Jeff. You know, talking to him before the game, he's just happy that he's able to go out and work hard right now, and he's working towards coming back somewhere around the All-Star game.
We have a new pitcher for the Houston Astros, right-hander Frank LaCourte. Last season, 8-5 with a tremendous earned run average of 2.82. And he really turned in to be quite a pitcher after struggling in the Atlanta Braves organization.
Well, a lot of times what happens to a pitcher, Jeff, like Frank was in a Brave organization a number of years. I remember him, and he threw very hard, but he was very erratic around with his control. And I think coming to Houston, which is more pitcher-oriented, he found someone, probably Mel Wright, who was able to help him with his delivery and able to get him to throw the ball in the strike zone more consistently. So a change of scenery sometimes is all that a player needs in order to get the maximum out of his talent.
Mike Scioscia will start it off here in the bottom of the 7th inning. LaCourte, fastball strike on the outside corner. Strike to Scioscia. Foul back into the crowd. Well, we have another official scorers change that we'll give to you. I guess everybody's getting used to the baseball season. Remember Terry Poole, who got that error? You can take it away from him. Unintentionally fouled up along the first baseline. That kicks off to the first baseman. Heat throws it over to the Astros dugout. Manuel Geronimo Mota. Who knows?
One of the greatest guys in baseball.
Third base coach, Danny Ozark. Scioscia hanging tough, fouls it back. So Steve Garvey would get credit for his second hit and take away the error in the 6th inning on Terry Poole. Swung on and missed, and down goes Scioscia.
If I notice anything different in LaCourte, Jeff, is more the fact that he's keeping the ball down in the strike zone now. I remember at Atlanta, he was very erratic with his fastball. Up and away in the strike zone a lot to the left-hand batters. And there, he kept the ball down very well on Scioscia and away from him.
Bill Russell is a very good fastball hitter. Let's see what he does. He takes a strike on the outside corner, 0-1. Russell tonight, 1 for 3, has scored a run and has driven in a run. There's a good fastball, 0-2. Goes over to Heat. That'll do it for Russell. That's the second out. Burt brings up pitcher Burt Hooton. Hooton tonight sacrificed in the second. Flied out to Jose Cruz in the 4th and struck out in the 5th against Andujar.
You know, earlier in the show, Jeff, you mentioned Burt's batting average last year, 0.63, I think you said. And you're so right. It's not indicative of the type of hitter he is because he's been very productive with men in scoring position. He's got some big RBIs for them. And he's turned around completely. He makes contact now where he didn't do that 4 or 5 years ago.
He takes a strike, and he also, Al, has ranked among the National League leaders in sacrifice bunts like 3 times in the last 4 years. And as a pitcher, that is vital, isn't it?
Very, very important. I mean, that's your primary responsibility when you come up with men on base. Get them over.
He has led the Dodgers in that category 4 of the last 5 years. I can remember a couple of years ago when Jim Lefevre was the batting coach that Hooton worked with Lefevre one entire spring training just on improving his hitting because he felt he could help himself.
Well, I always told him he hit like he was batting in a phone booth. Everything went straight up.
Well, he wasn't successful that time as he strikes out, and Frank Licordi puts the Dodgers down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 7th. And after 7, the score at Dodger Stadium: Los Angeles 7, Houston 1. California Angels make their 1981 on-TV debut this Wednesday, April 15th, as they take on Billy Martin's Oakland A's live from Anaheim Stadium. Yes, the Angels have some new faces. Oh, guys like Ed Ott, John D'Acquisto, and they are a battling ball club. Exciting. They put as fine a lineup of 8 guys as anybody in baseball. Oakland, they've got guys like Mike Norris and Tony Armas. Should be quite a ball game. So join Big D, Don Drysdale. We welcome him back to our on-TV lineup along with Bill Rickney. All the action Wednesday, April 15th, the Angels and the Oakland A's. Then the Dodgers return to the on-TV sports lineup on Monday, April 27th, as they'll battle their cross-state rival San Francisco right here from Dodger Stadium. Yes, the Dodgers-Giants rivalry continues. A new skipper in San Francisco, Frank Robinson. Enos Cabell, traded from Houston to the Giants. Joe Morgan is now part of San Francisco, so it should be exciting. Al and I will be here to bring you the exact action Monday, April 27th. The Dodgers and San Francisco Giants right here on TV. Tommy Lasorda in the middle of your screen with glasses on. Monty Bascom, one of the coaches, and the new pitching coach on the right of your screen, Ron Peranowski, taking the place of Red Adams, who is retired and doing well, and we hope he's really enjoyed his retirement. Burt Hooton has really done a job tonight, allowing 1 run on 7 hits.
Well, I think what's encouraging, Geoff, is to see the rapport that Burt and Socha have with one another. Because Mike didn't really catch him that much last year, and starting off a new year, of course, they were in spring training together. But you start the season, it's a whole different ball game, and yet they seem to work very well together. They were a little shaky at the beginning, but now they've gotten their feet on the ground, and they seem to be working together very well.
We go to the 8th inning. Terry Poole starts things off. He'll be followed by Craig Reynolds and Cesar Cedeno. 7-1 Dodgers. Poole has had a perfect night, 3 for 3, has scored a run, and has a stolen base. 2 singles and a double. He takes a strike. Seeing Coach Monty Bascom a moment ago reminds me that I want to wish his wife the speediest of recoveries. Anita Bascom is recuperating from a fractured cheek and left foot in an automobile accident that she and Monty had at Dodger Stadium last Sunday. There's a sharp 2-hopper to Lopes. He gloves, throws him out.
Well, this fast infield, that can be a very tricky play. Hit very sharply off the left-hand batter, but Davey stayed down right with it. Made the good play on it.
So Anita Bascom, get well in a hurry. Your hubby says you got great care at Glendale Memorial Hospital. Craig Reynolds coming up now. Reynolds is 0 for 3. Strike.
I think Burt's on top of his game, but I think Reynolds is having a little bit of trouble. No matter what Burt seems to throw up there, he just can't seem to follow it for some reason. When he's looking for the fastball, Burt throws a curveball. When he's looking for the curveball, he throws the fastball.
There's a tough play, and it goes over Lope's head, so he finally gets a pitch that he can handle and loops it into right field for hit number 8 off Burt Hooton.
And he got the fastball that time, but Burt cracked his bat. And a lot of pitchers often say, Jeff, they'd rather you hit the ball hard and hit it where somebody can catch it rather than break the bat and hit one of those bloopers.
Cesar Cedeno steps in. The Astros center fielder tonight. 1 for 3. Started the night hitting .250. He drives it down the left field line, but he pulled it too much. Back into the crowd. Cesar Cedeno has always been able to do everything. Hit with power, runs well, an outstanding defensive center fielder.
Well, Leo DeRocha said he was the most exciting ball player he had seen since Willie Mays when he first came up in 1951. But he's never seemed to play up to those expectations.
Fouled away by Cesar. I talked to him about that. I can recall last spring training, he told me he had always felt that was very unfair, that there was only one Willie Mays, and as a kid, he felt undue pressure, and it had an effect on him.
He was only 19 or 20 years old, and that's a lot of pressure to put on a youngster. Not only that, you can never tell what a player's potential is.
The clown of the Dodgers having some fun, Jay Johnstone. He's not bored. Base hit to right field off the bat of Cedeno. Stopping at second is Craig Reynolds as Guerrero gets it in to Davy Lopes. So back-to-back singles with one out by Reynolds and Cedeno.
There again, Cesar went to right field like he did earlier in the game. He got a pitch out over the plate. He had that hole there, and he took advantage of it. But you notice that Reynolds very wisely, knowing he's down by 6 runs, there's no place to go. Hold up at second base. Don't get thrown out at third.
Warming up in the Dodger bullpen behind Hooton is right-hander Bobo Castillo. Half swing by Cruz. Russell's got it. He goes to Lopes for one. On to Garvey. Not in time. So Reynolds is safe at third. And on the fielder's choice, Cruz beats the play at first.
And he beat it, and he was moving. He was moving out because that's a tough play here. You take a half swing. Usually the batter doesn't get a good jump out of the box, and Russell made a good feed to Lopes. But Jose just turned on the afterburners there. He's in there.
Here's Danny Heap with runners at first and third and 2 down. 8th inning, 7-1 Dodgers. Hooton trying to paint the outside corner. Had the wrong brush. 1 ball and no strikes. Heap 1 for 3 tonight.
Wrong brush?
Got him that time. 1 ball and 1 strike. Heap struck out in the first. Had a single to right in the 6th inning. And then he hit a ball that hit him out of the batter's box back in the 4th inning. Grounds it down to Garvey. Fair ball. He does it inside.
Jerry Dale called foul ball.
Ball plate umpire Jerry Dale signaling foul at the last moment. First base umpire Paul Runge hasn't moved yet.
Well, it's not his play, Jeff, until the ball passes the bag. It's the home plate umpire's play until the ball passes the first base bag. And well, Garvey caught the ball in foul territory, but it's hard to tell where the ball bounced, where the ball bounced on the last bounce before he caught it.
Very, very close. There's a drive to left field. Baker's right there. In the 8th inning for Houston, no runs on a couple of hits and 2 men left on, and the score through 7 1/2 innings of play. Dodgers 7, Astros 1. 1 week from tomorrow, April 19th, On TV Sports will present a great double bill of outstanding sports entertainment. First, at 2 o'clock, it's championship tennis as we present the men's singles final of the $75,000 Jack Kramer Open, live from the LA Tennis Club. Defending U.S. Open champion John McEnroe and 1980 Australian Open champ Brian Teacher head the list of tennis superstars who are entered in this tournament. Other entrants include Raul Ramirez, Roscoe Tanner, Stan Smith. It should be a dandy. Join Mike Walden and Ted Green for some great tennis action. That's Sunday, the 19th at 2 o'clock. Then, following the Jack Kramer Open, we'll take you live to Santa Anita Park for the 42nd running of the $200,000 San Juan Capistrano Handicap. 1980 Eclipse Award winner John Henry is expected to lead the field in this challenging mile and 3/4 turf race. Be sure to join us Sunday, April 19th. A great double bill of sports action. The Jack Kramer Open at 2 o'clock, followed by the San Juan Capistrano Handicap at 5. All coming your way right here on TV. Coming into pitch now, the bottom of the 8th inning for Houston, their ace left-hander, Joe Sambito. Also, we have a new first baseman. Dennis Walling has taken over at first base. Denny Walling at first base for Houston.
This is an unusual move, Jeff. He's used his 2 best relief pitchers here in a ball game where he's down 6-1, and he has a day game tomorrow. You would think that he'd almost bring in anybody to finish out this ball game and hope that tomorrow, if he's close, he can use these 2 fellows if they're strong.
Joe Sambito, who always gets off to very slow starts, and I was talking to him prior to tonight's ball game, and he said this one, no exception. He doesn't do very well numbers-wise during the spring, and he says he just builds his arm up, and then all of a sudden, in fact, he says he really doesn't start getting going until about the latter part of May or early June.
Well, there could be a number of reasons for that. I think that primarily, he's more mature now. He told me that he felt that he was pitching better now than he has in the last 4 or 5 years, even though he might not be throwing as hard. But a lot of the reasons, maybe he doesn't work out in the wintertime.
That's a good point, because he said that he doesn't throw in the wintertime. He works out, but he says because he doesn't throw as much,
he has to stretch his arm out. It takes a long time to stretch his arm out.
1 ball, no strikes to Dodger leadoff man Davey Lopes. Davey 1 for 4 tonight. Right down the middle, called strike, 1-1.
I always felt, you know, going into minor league camp, I always felt the kids from California had an advantage because they played all winter. And you were in the East Coast, you didn't play, you didn't throw all winter. Therefore, it took you 2 or 3 months to catch up to them as far as stretching your arm out and getting your body acclimated to playing every day. But once the hot weather came, then the talent surfaced.
To count to Lopes. Outside, 3-1. Fouls that one back into the crowd. Full count to Davey Lopes. Bottom of the 8th inning. The Dodgers leading Houston is 7-1, 7 runs, 11 hits, no errors. The Astros 1 run, 9 hits, and no errors. We have had 2 changes in official scoring rulings. 1 on Say, 1 on Garvey, where errors were given initially and then taken back later on. Fouled away again.
Sambito looks like he's dropped down a little in his delivery, Jeff. I remember him being a little more 3/4 last year, and now he looks like he's dropped down a little bit more. He's down to almost 3 o'clock.
To come back. an attempt to have the umpires have more uniformity in both leagues. They're trying to have the umpires all give the same signs. Now, I don't like the hands up. The hands up. I would rather
touchdown.
have a point immediately that it's foul.
It can be very confusing.
I guess the American League
they wave one way or the other, foul or fair.
In the American League?
Yes. In the National League, you put hands up?
I think it used to be the other way around.
It used to be the National League
used to wave foul.
I like that better. I like that better. You know exactly what it is. Of course, sometimes the umpire might get confused. I mean, this way, you'll just put your hands straight up.
He puts his hands up, and he has more time to make the call.
Sure. Also, if the ball's right at him, he can jump and get out of the way, too.
Lopes back up. Full count. Sambito, fourth pitcher used by Burton tonight. He pops it up. Foul ground. Dennis Walling coming over by the railing. Runs out of room.
I think where I'd like to see more uniformity in the umpiring is behind the plate, where the American League umpires will take the inside chest protector. I think they have the option to do that now.
Right. I think what they have done now is veteran umpires who have been around can still wear that balloon protector, but otherwise they're starting the younger ones out with the inside protector.
Well, then you get a more uniform strike zone also. The hitters don't have to make a drastic change whenever you play in a playoff game or even in exhibition games in spring training.
Swinging. So 3 of the last 4 Dodgers have gone down on strikes. Scioscia, Hooton, and now Lopes. Ken Landreau tonight grounded out to second, flied out to Cruz, popped up to Reynolds in the 4th, and then had his double in the 6th inning.
That was a breaking ball. Now, Deacon Jones and I were talking before the game, and Deacon was a tremendous hitter, but he just never got a chance to play very much in the big leagues. He's the batting instructor for Houston. We were mentioning how left-handed pitchers always have a tendency to throw that breaking ball first pitch to left-hand batters.
1-1 to Landreau. Why is that?
He couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out. I guess it's
and
the
you're
catch.
A left-hander.
Well, because I never pitched like that. I'd make him hit the fastball. You know, you got the curveball when I got ahead of you. He said he thinks left-handers had a tendency to try to make the left-handed batter look bad.
Landreau takes inside and down low, 2-1. Don Sutton started. He went 4+, gave up 6 runs, 8 hits, had 3 strikeouts, walked 3. 3-1 to Landreau. He was followed by Joaquin Andujar, who went 2 innings, allowed 1 run on 3 hits, had 2 strikeouts, walked 1 man. LaCourte had 1 inning of work, had 2 strikeouts, and allowed the Dodgers zilch. Now Sambito. Full count to Ken Landreau. It down the left field line, coming over for it is Cruz, but it's well back into the crowd. Kenny Landreau started out in the California Angels organization. He was traded to Minnesota along with infielder Dave Engel, pitchers Paul Hartzell and Brad Havens for Rod Carew back in February of 1979. Up and in, ball 4.
Just before that pitch, Geoff, Bill Verdon repositioned his outfielders. He moved Poole over to right center, and he told Cedeno to move to left center and Cruz to move toward the line. As a hitter, the first thing you would think is they're going to throw me hard stuff. You don't think breaking ball because you know they're not going to throw you a breaking ball and try to play you to hit the opposite way.
So Baker steps in with Landreau at first, who runs well with 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Dodgers up by 6, 7-1 the score. tonight. Popped up to Landeskog in shallow center in the first. Grounded out to Craig Reynolds in the third. Tripled and scored a run in the fifth. And singled, driving in a run in the sixth. So Johnny B is 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored. They pitch out. Landro not going anywhere. 1-1 to Baker.
Well, you know, on that pitch out right there, Sam Beadle gave it away. He deviated from his normal pitching motion. And I think maybe if there was something on, Landro could have picked it up.
Throw to first. Back on his hands and knees goes Kenny Landro.
On the pitch out, what you like to teach the pitcher is use your normal motion, but just speed up your delivery to the plate. Don't speed up your release of the ball because they'll pick up something different on you.
If you're wondering about Landro and his base running, he runs fast, but he has never stolen a lot of bases as they drive him back again. He had 10 with Minnesota in 1979, and that's his career high. But
well, that could be misleading, Jeff. Perhaps they didn't have a running type ball club, but then again,
they didn't. That's a good point because Minnesota has not. And his role was he was kind of stifled.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know how you fit in. But here, I'm sure he'll get every opportunity to run here. I mean, this is a running league.
Walling holding Landro on at first base with 1 out, 1 ball, 2 strikes to count to Dusty Baker. 7-1 Dodgers, bottom of the 8th inning. The first of 15 Dodger telecast here on TV. I'm Geoff Witcher with Al Downing. Hope you're enjoying it. Popped up. Second baseman Landeskog right on the edge of the outfield grass. Takes care of that. 2 down. Here comes Garvey.
Often you see a runner, a ball player has excellent speed, but he doesn't know how to run and doesn't know how to steal bases. Maybe he can't read pitching.
I think Bill Russell is a prime example. He's got excellent speed, but he has never been...
Well, he's not aggressive. He's not aggressive.
Right. And that's what he'll admit. He is not an aggressive base runner.
Whereas Lopes probably is not maybe as fast as Russell, but he's quicker than Russell, and he's very aggressive. Very aggressive. He's going to make you make mistakes out there.
Steve Garvey, 2 for 2, and he has sandwiched in a couple of walks, scored twice. Landro back in time. The Astros scored 1 run in the first. That's the last time they were able to punch anything across. The Dodgers came up with 4 in the second, 2 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth. They're batting now at the bottom of the 8th inning. Garvey takes outside. The series finale and the final game of this brief homestand. Then the Dodgers will fly up to San Francisco and open up with the Giants Monday night. Tomorrow's pitching matchup, Vern Rule and Rick Sutcliffe. Outside, ball 2. Nolan Ryan was originally scheduled to pitch tomorrow's game as Landro leads off first and Walling holds him on. However, he has the same problem as Jerry Royce, a sprained calf muscle, but not nearly as serious. High fly ball slicing back into the crowd down the right field line, so Garvey stays up there. 2-1 the count.
I think Ryan's injury and Royce's injury, I think the thing that probably caused those, you're in Florida, the ground's very hard, and you're running constantly every day on hard ground. Your muscles become accustomed to it, and it's very warm. You have a tendency to get stretched out. Now you come back here, you have a little different regimen, and you're playing on softer ground actually, and you're susceptible to pulls. And it happens quite frequently in the spring of the year with players making that transition, the hot weather and the hard ground to the cooler weather and the softer ground.
Going to second is Garvey. There's nobody there. He's got himself a stand-up double. the third hit of the night for Garvey. Hit number 12 for Los Angeles.
Well, that's what makes Steve such a good hitter. He gets a good fastball out of the plate, and he doesn't try to pull it. He just goes the other way with it. He hits it right back from whence it came, right up the right center field gap. Also makes it very difficult to pitch to him.
So with first base open, runners at second and third and 2 down here in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Dodgers leading by 6, trying for more. Here's Ron Cey. The Penguin singled, scored, and has driven in a run tonight. And he has 3 hits, 2 singles and a double. Struck out last time up in the 6th inning. That was against Joaquin Andujar. Low, ball 1. Don Sutton, Joaquin Andujar, Frank Licordi, and now Joe Sambito for Houston. Burt Hooton has gone all the way for Los Angeles. Landreau at third. Garvey standing right on top of the second base bag. And the Penguin, who recorded a 45 a few seasons ago, and I think it had something to do with the third base bag. Playing the third base bag was the title, I believe, as he fouls that one back into the crowd. You didn't know the Penguin could sing, did you, Ace?
I still don't.
I won't tell him you said that.
I think Penguin might have gone out and bought up all the available copies. He didn't want anybody to find out.
I had one, but I left it in the heat one day, and it's warped. So Sambito, rubbing up a new baseball, takes a walk behind the mound, and Cey stands in.
Well, this situation right here now, Sambito knows he's down 6 runs. Penguin's going to air it out. He's trying to hit one out of here. He has 2 outs. And he doesn't want just a base hit. He wants a home run. And he's going for the down.
Now he's waiting for the pitch that he can drive out of here, and he takes that one, 2-1. Charging is Cedeno. He's got it. In the bottom of the 8th inning for the Dodgers. No runs. 1 hit. 2 men left on. The score through 8 remains. Dodgers 7. Astros 1. Just a reminder that immediately following tonight's game, we'll be presenting Santa Anita Replay with Dave Johnson. Be sure to stay tuned for all the highlights of today's races from magnificent Santa Anita Park. That's Santa Anita Replay coming on right after the Dodgers and the Astros. We'll update the on-TV scoreboard for you in the National League. Montreal and Pittsburgh rained out. The Cubs knocked off the Mets 3-1, and Philadelphia over St. Louis 5-2. The Reds over the Braves 3-2, and San Francisco shutting out San Diego 2-zip. In the American League, the Yankees defeated Texas 5-1. Milwaukee victorious over the Indians 5-3. Detroit over Toronto by a 6-2 count. Oakland shut out Minnesota up at the Kingdome in Seattle, 6th inning. The Angels lead by a tray, 6-3.
That Oakland pitching staff is very impressive, Jeff. Yes, very impressive.
They have an outstanding pitching staff. And I still say I don't think there's another manager around who could have done with Oakland what Billy Martin did last season. He just did a tremendous job with that ball club.
No, and I think he instilled a lot of pride in the organization. And he had some ball players that have a lot of talent. They just needed someone to make them believe that they could play in the big leagues. And they believe it now. And with the pitching they have and the type of game that they play, that running game, they could cause a lot of problems in the Western Division.
We go to the top of the 9th inning. Burt Hooton in his first outing trying to go all the way. And he only had 4 complete games in 33 starts last season. The line score, 7-1 Dodgers.
Well, that's a good sign for Tommy Lasorda. You know, Burt coming off a bad shoulder and everything. First time out, you know, be able to go into the 9th inning.
Art Howe starts things off, followed by Alan Ashby and Rafael Landestor. Howe takes outside, ball 1. Howe tonight called out on strikes in the 2nd, single to center field in the 4th, and a hit into a force play in the 6th inning. So he's 1 for 3. Just outside, 2-0.
What's happening to Hooton right now? He's falling behind 3-0. He knows he has a big lead. It's the 9th inning, and he's going to go out there loosey-goosey and just throw strikes. And sometimes you just lose your coordination. You just become too loose.
3-1. Foul back. Full count to Art Howe. Behind Hooton in the Dodger bullpen, right-hander Bobo Castillo and left-hander Steve Howe. That is the first walk given up by Burt Hooton tonight, so he's had outstanding control, perhaps tiring in the ninth, and opens the inning by walking Howe. That brings up Alan Ashby. Ashby takes ball 1.
I don't think he's tired, Jeff. I think that on the first hitter, he just wasn't concentrating because he was just trying to get ahead of him, and he lost his rhythm for a moment. I think right here, he should pick it back up again because he was throwing pretty good to the first hitter.
There's a shot into the hole, right field. Howe will stop at second on the base hit by Ashby, and the Astros try to make some noise here in the 9th inning. And coming up to pinch hit for Landestor, former Dodger Geoff Leonard. Geoff Leonard, who was the second player to be named later in the Joe Ferguson deal. And here comes Tommy Lasorda out of the dugout. He's going out to the mound, so let's see about Hooton's fate right now. Left-handed Steve Howe, right-handed Bobo Castillo heating up in the Dodger bullpen. Castillo on the left of your screen, Howe on the right of your screen. There's the skipper reaching Hooton and Scioscia.
You know, one of the knocks on Geoff Leonard was the fact that he didn't hit for power for a big man, and yet he had very productive years in the minor leagues, hitting 385, 390, but for some reason somebody wanted to hit for power, and he never did.
Last year, in 88 games and 216 at-bats, he hit 213, 3 home runs, and 20 runs batted in, but in 79, he had a super year, 290, and Albuquerque in 1978, he hit 365.
But he didn't hit for power, and I think that's one of the things they expected of him. But you know, occasionally you'll find big guys like that. They just don't hit for the power. You know?
So Burt Hooton will come out as Lasorda has decided to go to his bullpen, and it will be left-hander Steve Howe, I believe. Bobo Castillo, the right-hander. So the right-hander Castillo gets the call. And Burt Hooton, well, you couldn't pitch too much better in your first time out, Al.
No, you know, the first start of the season, you're always a little edgy, and so for an inning or two, you're going to be kind of apprehensive about feeling your way around the mound, and yet when he got his feet on the ground, he had a complete command of the game.
So Hooton getting a standing ovation from a lot of the fans right behind the Dodger dugout, and he gets the handshakes from his teammates. A great outing. First time out for Burt Hooton. Bobo Castillo, who had an outstanding spring. He went down to work on a couple of things. One was a curveball, and he couldn't have picked a better tutor, Sandy Koufax, and he worked on control, and now he reports that he accomplished both of those things, and he feels very confident coming in.
Well, he also told me before the game he feels he's throwing with better velocity. He's throwing with better velocity, and that could be because he's kind of like you get more compact in your delivery. You don't jump around so much on the mound, and you keep your body moving towards home plate. Consequently, you stop wasting a lot of energy out there.
I want to remind you, for this upcoming 1981 season, we also will renew the Dodger mailbag. Al Downing loves to answer your questions, so if you can stump him, please do so. Now, on a serious note, if you have any baseball questions in general or specifically about the Dodgers, write the question and send it in to Dodgers mailbag, care of On TV, 1139 Grand Central Avenue, Glendale, California, zip code 91201. So Bobo Castillo warms up. He throws that screwball. He was 8-6 last year with a fine earned run average of 2.76. I want to repeat our on-TV sports quiz answer, just in case you missed it earlier. Only 3 players compiled career batting average of 300 or better for the LA Dodgers. Manny Mota, 315, Steve Garvey and Tommy Davis, 304. And if you got that, congratulations. At second base is Art Howe. Alan Ashby not being held on at first base. And Leonard hits a shot down the left field line. Here comes Howe around third. He will score. And also being waved in. Here comes Alan Ashby. He scores, and it's now 7-3 Los Angeles on a double by Geoff Leonard.
Well, Geoff didn't waste any time, and that's one of the watchwords of the pinch hitter. Jump up and unbutton that top button on the first pitch, and he did. He hammered it down the left field line. And you notice Dusty was playing way off alignment. That's because the Dodgers scouting report, having known Geoff, is that he's not going to pull the ball much. But he pulled that one.
Dennis Walling is the batter for Houston. He came in as a defensive replacement for Danny Heap last inning. It's a high fly ball to right field, playable. Coming in on it is Guerrero. He makes a catch, and holding at second is Geoff Leonard. So that's the first out here in the 9th inning. That brings up leadoff man, right fielder Terry Poole. Poole, 3 for 4. They finally got him in the 8th inning as he grounded out to Davy Lopes. 2 singles, a double, and he scored a run. Also has a stolen base. That came back in the 3rd. 7-3, Los Angeles, top of the 9th inning. 1 out. Leonard at second. There's a strike to Poole. Geoff Leonard taking a pretty good-sized lead there at second base. Screwball, swung on and missed. 0-2. The Astros third base coach, Bob Lewis, around at first. There's a Ron Hopper. Lopes back out. Throws to Garvey off the play. Leonard takes third. 2 down.
Well, that was one of those self-defense plays right there. Davey knew it was going to be a tough one. Hopper, and he just backhands it. Kept his eye on it all the way. Good play. I think, you know, Davey's getting a little older, Geoff. He's 34, 35 now, but I think he might have lost a half a step or so, but I think he makes it up because he knows the hitters in the league and he knows his pitchers, and therefore he knows how to position himself in just situations such as that one, so he'll be right in the right spot to make the play.
Craig Reynolds, the Astros shortstop. And he hits a chopper, and it eats Garvey up, and it goes into shallow right field. Leonard scores, and it's 7-4 Los Angeles.
Well, that was a P. Garvey had the same play earlier, but it wasn't hit quite as sharply, and he tried to get in front of it and block it with his left leg, but it went off the palm of his glove. That's the type of ball Garvey will go in and tuck a steal, take a little bit of the sting out of it for him.
Garvey takes the hand out of the glove. Maybe it's smart. Here's Cesar Cedeno. So all of a sudden, the Dodgers' 6-run lead is now 3 here in the ninth.
Well, what happened to Castillo? He came into the ball game, and he had a situation where he knew he had to get 3 out, so he has to go in and throw strikes, and the hitters are jumping on the first pitch on him.
Cedeno is 2 for 4 tonight. He singled in the first, and he singled in the 8th. Swung on and missed. 2-1. Want to remind you, immediately following the ball game, stay tuned for the Santa Anita replay, and then following that, a motion picture entitled The Island, starring Michael Caine, right here on TV. There's a shot, foul down the third baseline. So Cedeno hit it good, but he pulled it too much. The count evens at 2-2. Back to first, Craig Reynolds. 7 runs, 12 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. 4 runs, a dozen hits, no errors for the Astros, and they have picked up a big 3 so far here in the ninth. So Bill Burton, cap off, hoping that his club has a little bit left to keep things going here in the ninth inning. Half swing, unintentionally fouled over to the Astros dugout.
Well, I think what's more important is that he's aware of the fact that, his ball club was down out of the ball game, and they're fighting back. And I think that's a very important sign, because they do have a tremendous pitching staff. And he knows, you're not going to go to every game down 6 runs in the ninth inning. They do have the capacity to come back.
Next pitch is chopped up along third, foul. Don Leppert cannot make the play. Count stays at 2-2. Castillo rubbing up a new baseball. Joining left-hander Steve Howe in the Dodger bullpen is right-hander Dave Goltz. Foul again down the left field line. Goltz, who was bitten by the flu bug in spring training, he's on the left of your screen. Howe is on the right of your screen. Has been pitching very well in recent outings. Bob Welch, who had bone spurs in his pitching elbow, is happy to report that in the last 4 times out, he's had no pain, and he is due to make his opening start against the Giants in Candlestick on Monday night.
Well, that's an encouraging sign for Tommy. With Goltz having a slow recovery, and with Royce out now with a bad leg, they need that other starter.
Cedeno wanting the pine tar, and Cruz throws it to him.
Cesar just wants a little more time to kind of guess along with Castillo, figure out what he's going to throw him. He's kept the ball in on him the last couple of pitches, and he's trying to figure out, well, will he go away with a slider or a fastball this time, or will he come back inside on him?
Craig Reynolds, the runner at first. 2 down, top of the ninth inning. The Astros have scored 3. They're trying for more. 2-2, the count to Cedeno. Castillo works him outside. Full count. Reynolds not being held on by Garvey. Outfield is deep and swung around towards left field. Jose Cruz waits his turn on deck. Reynolds goes. The pitch fouled away. So Craig has to turn around and head back to first base.
Well, this is the man Baba wants because the next man's a tie and run. He doesn't want to get Cedeno on the base if he could possibly help it.
There's a high fly ball into deep left center field. Landreau going back. He's to the wall. He's got it. So Cedeno gave it a ride, but Landreau had room, and he made the catch in front of the 385 sign in deep left center field. So in the ninth, the Astros score 3 runs on 3 hits, leave a man, and the final score, the Dodgers 7 and the Astros 4. The winning pitcher, Burt Hooton, he's 1-0, and the loser, Don Sutton, he's 0-1. And Al, your evaluation of Burt Hooton's performance tonight.
I thought it was very encouraging for Burt and also for Tommy Lasorda because he has a shortage of starting pitchers. But I think Burt will feel well about it because having struggled last year with a bad shoulder, he knows he starts the season. He went into the 9th inning. He was strong in the 9th inning, but he just got a little behind on his control.
So that'll wrap it up from Dodger Stadium, a sellout crowd, and they were treated to a dandy ball game. The final line score, the Dodgers to win it, 7 runs, 12 hits, no errors, 10 men left on. The Astros, 4 runs, 12 hits, no errors, and 7 men left on. So the final score once again, the Dodgers 7 and the Astros 4. We'll join you again on the 27th. The Dodgers will battle the San Francisco Giants. For Al Downing, I'm Geoff Witcher, bidding you all a very pleasant good night. Live from Dodger Stadium, On TV Sports has presented exciting Major League Baseball action between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Houston Astros. The executive producer of On TV Sports is John Moore. Tonight's telecast was produced by Jerry Romano and directed by Mark Wolfson.